And I'm now giving to Professor Agnes for the recap and also the for moderating our session for today. Maraming salamat.
Okay, good evening po sa lahat. Magandang gabi. So wherever you are in the Philippines, to my fellow facilitators and the scholars, So I hope you are in good spirit, Kahit tapos na yung ating bonus, I hope you are still in good spirit. And so, before I introduce our magisterial lecture for tonight, let me have a recap of what we have discussed last meeting. So last time, we had a lecture on the relevance of the philosophy of education. And then in this lecture, Dr. Abenes discusses the different approaches in teaching philosophy. So the first one is you call the thematic approach, wherein you actually discuss philosophy in terms of the different isms, like pragmatism, like existentialism, and of course the favorite of the many teachers in PUP, Marxism, And then you have the historical approach wherein you discuss philosophy in terms of the different historical epoch, like medieval philosophy, ancient philosophy, modern philosophy, and postmodern philosophy. And then you have the dialogical approach wherein you make use of a certain dialogical space in order to facilitate discussion by means of question and answer. And then the large part of his discussion was devoted to the so-called structural approach in teaching philosophy, and wherein you make use of a text in order to teach philosophy. And in here, he actually uses Plato as a good example of in using structural approach in teaching philosophy. So he discusses the philosophy of education of Plato in relation to his notion of justice and goodness. And of course, instead of ending his discussion about the dream of Plato of the philosopher king, he argued that we should have a philosopher teacher. So I am proud to introduce to you the third magisterial lecture. Let me introduce Dr. Rodrigo Abenes.
Thank you very much, Professor Agnes, for the recap and also for the introduction. So for today, I will not just give the lecture, and it's because for today, the approach that we're going to do is the dialogical approach. Professor Agnes, not yet doctor, pero medyo malapit na. So, nag-ano siya, 'di ba? Nagbigay ng recap that we have four approaches in teaching philosophy. And the first one is, okay, balikan uli natin. The first one is the thematic approach. The second is the historical approach, and the third one is the structural approach, and the fourth one is the dialogical approach. Later on, magbibigay kami ng sample of the dialogical approach. That's why I invited one of my mentees. Actually, meron akong two mentees dito who are working into philosophy of education. One is Regina, so yung ating naging GTA. She is an ECE educator, early childhood, pero right now she is taking up CIN, estudyante pa rin, and she is about to defend her thesis on philosophy for children. And then the other one is Erlene, and she is working right now into citizenship education, particularly the comparison between global citizenship and the world-centered citizenship education of Gert Biesta. So yon, and this is, I think, the very first philosophical paper in PNU, so itong dalawa na to na nagwo-work, so yon, kaya lang, in my lecture kanina, I'm together with magkasama kami ngayon ni Dr. Apolega, so Ang problema ko is I'm trying to take a look at my PowerPoint, kaya lang I was not able really to retrieve it. It's because nagka-problema kami sa PNU with regards to the storage of our files. So nalimit tayo sa PNU. I think nalimit ang mga estudyante and even the professors. So ngayon I'm trying to retrieve, kaya lang hindi ko siya ma-retrieve ngayon. So that's why medyo may problem din tayo. So that's why what I'm going to share to you for today is a pre-recorded video of our workshop. So let me share to you my screen, pero medyo mahaba-haba lang ito. And then after that, I'm going to introduce Regina, particularly for her input and also introduction as well of philosophy for children. So wait lang po, hanapin ko lang yung ating files para at least ay okay na tayo for our lecture. So this lecture is actually naibigay na namin siya ng ilang beses. I think we have tried it at least twice in Philippine Normal University. So dito kami din nagkakilala ni Dr. Santiago. So I'm going to share to you some of the videos muna of our workshop. Kita po ba ang screen? Yes or no?
Yes po.
Yes, sir.
Yes po.
Yes po.
So our concern was how to propagate this pedagogy to the public school teachers, and in our case, at Angeles City, Pampanga. And this is the reason why we were here, and we are thankful to the organizer behind this seminar workshop. We are planning, and we hope the PNU can help us with this. We are planning to launch a teacher training which we would target the grades 1, 2, and 3 teachers of DepEd Angeles City, Pampanga. And we thought, and we share the conviction that critical thinking, being thoughtful, should start at the formative years of the children's life. Okay, and the recent PISA result gave us a better reason why we need to pursue this. Because in that finding, it was mentioned how we fared poorly in scientific literacy, reading literacy, and we hope that philosophy for children will address this. It's a long shot, but we would like to start this. And thank you. we hope to see and meet the organizers again. And probably this time in Angeles City, Pampanga with P4C Teacher Training Community Outreach. Maraming salamat.
This kind of activity or initiative is interesting because it's really difficult to build a network of professionals, specifically in the field of philosophy of education. And this seminar did just that. It involved a lot of professionals, teachers from different universities and schools across the Philippines. So I think that this is a good way of it's a good way of involving everyone to doing philosophy for children, philosophy of education.
Would you like to share, ma'am, your learnings for today?
Siguro, one important thing that I got from the seminar or the workshop is that it's really possible to do philosophy with little children, specifically those in elementary schools and basic education schools. And from what I got from the first two presentations, it's possible to include it in the curriculum or in the lesson plans of teachers. If you know the objectives of the program and if you also know how to do it in practice. And I think the seminar provided the attendees with skills, and not just skills, but the basics of doing philosophy for children. And it also provided us the context where we can apply it.
This activity is very fulfilling for me because as a philosopher, it teaches me how to bring philosophy to the masses so that we will no longer be considered as persons who are detached from this world. Just like what Dr. Avena said, that classical philosophers are those that are an embodiment of the word fear, which is an acronym for people who are considered as a fascist. They are also considered as someone who is elitist, someone who is considered also a repressor, as well as something that is also has the mark of being an arrogant person. So it teaches us to bring philosophy to the core, to teach it to children, so that children will develop this critical thinking in the sense that they will be able to ask questions critically, and thereby making them more caring, critical, creative, as the objectives of 4PC, or philosophy for children. It also gives us a way how to make the commuter, because Filipinos at their young age will be taught how to critically think and make decisions, not only for themselves but eventually for the future of the nation. Because as human beings, our basic essence is to be rational beings. And what is the best way to start is to start young, to start with children.
Basically, those were great insights, sir. May I know what are the learnings that you have gained with today's activity?
There's a lot. Before, 4PC is just a word that gives me an idea that philosophy can be taught to children. But because of today's seminar, I learned that 4PC is a pedagogy which was developed earlier during the 1970s by Lippmann, that it has unique methods and approaches. I learned the 4 approaches: the Lippmann approach, the Socratic philosophical approach, the Levine approach, and the other one is the third one, I forgot. The Socratic method approach. Okay, and not only about that, I also learned about the equivalent of that in the Philippine context, the 7 Ks para sa batang Pilipino, and basically it
meaning.
Curiosity. So, and also, I do believe that we need to strengthen philosophy for children, particularly in strengthening also our literacy, in the country, primarily solving some issues about, the problem. So, this is quite very simple. A lecture on that because I wanted to have a very different series of workshops, and I'm designing a workshop that would give, for example, a very friendly workshop in introducing philosophy for children, not only to early childhood educators, but also to pre-service and in-service teachers, and also to philosophers. So the title of my presentation is reclaiming the role of philosophy in education and democracy. So, but we need to consider that I'm using here, democracy in a pragmatic definition of John Dewey. And when we speak of democracy here, democracy is defined not as a political form of government, but as an ethical life. So in his book, John Dewey, in the book of John Dewey, John Dewey actually defined democracy as education for the people, of the people, by the people, and for the people. So that's why it's an ethical life. So ito yung siguro basic question, na tingin ko ay magandang maitanong, you may answer this in the chat box, so I know that siguro the moment that you are here, you feel that it is important, pero why do you think it's important? Ano po yung reason? So sige, I'm giving you a minute, to type in the chat box, so that I will be able to read, some of your answers. Okay, so sige, why philosophy is important, or is philosophy important? So that is one basic question na siguro kailangan nating i-answer. How about yung iba siguro baka walang magsagot. Yung mga students ko in Ed 701, So sige, you may have the initiative to answer my question. Anyone? Parang wala pa yatang nagsasagot, So I'm just going to wait for a minute, for your answers. Okay. So medyo silent pa rin, So okay, may sumagot na isa, So according to Aaron, philosophy is important because it's our nature as human beings, to search for knowledge and wisdom. So what else? Okay, for us to think critically and about the world. And then according to Ali, it enhances our problem solving capabilities. From Echo, it's important because it serves as a guide in doing things, and it strengthens, our grasp in reality. And then it enables us to deal with problems as well. For Regina, it's important to relate our experiences and even eventually find meaning. And from Hannah, it's philosophy is important because it gives us foundation to seek and know things, be critical, rational, and in decision making. From Saldi, it helps us to cultivate our critical thinking skills and promote curiosity. So, pero this is one now we recognize, the importance of philosophy. But sabi nga kanina na Dean Ruth actually mentioned that we have here, and even the interview of our previous participants, that there is an absence of philosophy in our school curricula in basic education. So the absence of philosophy, I would say, is a reflection that philosophy actually has no role in teaching and learning. So yun yung isa kong himotok, and this can be look into how, the crafting of curriculum that we have in our Philippine setting. But of course, we cannot blame our curricularists in doing this thing. It's because these are supported by empirical studies. And also, as I try to take a look at it, although I was not able to really dig more into the history of philosophy, but this is also supported by theoretical and some philosophical studies. So yun yung isang problem na nakikita ko. So that's why we are actually in this kind of endeavor to strengthen philosophy for children in the country. Because if we're going to take a look at it, and if we're going to describe the status of philosophy education in the country, talagang kailangan pa, we need to improve our philosophy education in the country. So right now, philosophy of education is gaining popularity among Filipino philosophers. So, pero if we're going to take a look at the state of our philosophy education in the country, philosophy, it's quite a good news that philosophy is being offered in basic education, particularly in senior high school. Pero before, it's only offered in higher education. And then one problem pa na nakikita ko is that bakit there's only one course or 3-unit course of philosophy of education in teacher education. So even in the MA program, we have only one course that deals with philosophy of education as well. And surprisingly, kahit sa PhD programs, halos talagang there is an absence of philosophy. So yun yung nakikita kong problem. All the more that there is an absence of philosophy, particularly in the basic education, in elementary, and even in high school, junior high school. So bakit? What's the reason? Kanina na-mention, ito yung some problems that we have. It's because this problem is in fact supported by some of the existing empirical studies, and it's supported by Piaget's stages of cognitive development. And in Piaget's, kung mapapansin natin that formal operational thinking or abstract form of reasoning can be only done if you are 11 years old and older. And because in this stage, the individual is somehow capable of theoretical and hypothetical and counterfactual thinking. So therefore, when we speak of philosophy, since it deals with abstract logic and reasoning, so it cannot be done by children who are in the pre-operational stage and also complete operational stage. So yun yung isang problem, And another is these are supported by Plato himself. So yun yung nakita ko, bakit? It's because if we're going to look into Plato's Republic, it's Plato actually who promoted, that philosophy should be only be given to adults. Mamaya later on mapapansin natin na in Plato's Republic, Plato actually put it in academia, and this will be only available to those who are going to study in or as a philosopher king. And for Plato, since his problem is looking into the problem of justice in the republic, so that man writ large, that his concern is also particularly social justice and individual justice. The importance of his philosophy of education is inculcating values or virtues to the citizen. And we know that for Plato, education is very important for the citizenry. It's very important for the attainment of social justice and also individual justice. But the problem is, if we're going to look into how did Plato label the different learning institutions and the focus of the curricula and also the aims of education, and also basically Plato wanted somehow I would say a kind of virtue education, and we have realized that for Plato, sabi niya, there are different levels of schooling. So in the first level of schooling, so the focus of the curricula are the skills, which are 3 R's, and also music and gymnastics. It's because the aim and the telos of education is more into aesthetic appreciation. And therefore, the focus of the curricula or the focus of the virtue of education is most likely into temperance. But in the second level of schooling, the curricula is focused into the stage of discipline, both the mental and the physical. Pero we need to remember that there is a kind of exclusivity. It's because in in Plato, these are only few who will go into the second level of schooling. So as you can see here, we could see a certain glimpse of, for example, the qualification framework. So right now we are being introduced into the Philippine qualification framework, the alignment of Philippine qualification framework with, for example, Asian qualification framework. Pero as early as the time of Plato, meron na. And in the second level of schooling, the focus of the aim of education is more into physical and also mental training. But the kind of virtual education is courage. So, and then another is, we have the third level of schooling. These are only for those who are the best of the best. And these are particularly, they will be focusing into the curricula of ethics, politics, and also philosophy, because this has something to do with the questions of values. And therefore, the aims of education here is more into the dialectical training, and the virtual education here, its a focus is wisdom. So as you can see here, we could see that for Plato, philosophy is not for all. Philosophy is only for those who will be philosopher king. So that's why, ito yung sinasabi ko, parang nakita ko na what is the implication of this to philosophy education. Right now, we could see the remnants of Plato's rationalism in our curricula, because Plato stole esoteric and organic philosophy from the commoners and restricted it to all-knowing philosopher kings. Philosophy has become a discipline that is exclusive and elitist, which is only accessible to the rarest and the most arrogant souls. And therefore, napansin natin, it's because of a certain exclusivity and elitism. Philosophy, therefore, had suffered from narration sickness. Dean Ruth actually mentioned this, that if in higher education we have a certain difficulty in teaching philosophy, what more into children? Because philosophy, the problem right now of philosophy, it suffers from narration sickness. Why? Because I would say it's because of its pedagogy of arrogance. So, yun yung isa kong nakikita. So, and as I try to take a look at it, and I would say that philosophy, the philosophy curriculum and pedagogy should be therefore be redesigned in such a way that it will be accessible to all. And ito yung nakita ko, later on, Regina will be able to explain it to you, the big P and the small P of philosophy. And I try to categorize, philosophy as a kind of discipline, and philosophy as an act of wonder. So right now, we consider philosophy as a discipline, not as an act of wonder. We consider philosophy as a noun, not as a verb, and therefore it is exclusivist and elitist. And it's only one-dimensional. It's because it's only based on the canon text. Parang as if you cannot philosophize if you don't read canon text. And I would say that one problem is that majority of the teachers of philosophy are embodiment of it. This has been mentioned by our participants. Pero out of my lecture last time in 2019 that I'm currently developing right now, yung sinasabi kong pedagogy of fear. Parang masyadong ito yung marami, because of the elitism, because of the exclusivity of philosophy as a discipline. And therefore, what is being prevalent among the philosophers who are teaching philosophy is the way we deliver philosophy to our students is there is a pedagogy of fear. So F means that's fear, and E, there's a certain form of exclusivity and elitism, and then A is a form of arrogance, that as if we are all knowing, and then also R is that it's repression. And therefore, if this is the kind of pedagogy that we're going to impart, and therefore it will be impossible really to introduce philosophy for children, to young people. It's because what we need to look into is we need to consider philosophy as an act of wonder, and therefore it's a verb, it's a form of activity. And therefore, if this will be introduced as a kind of activity, it's all the more inclusive, it's all the more democratic, and therefore two-dimensional, and therefore it's a kind of experiential learning that our students will be able to experience. Mamaya Regina will be able to give what does it mean ba yung P4C, she will be later on will be giving you some ideas in insight about it. It's because this is just a prelude to the workshop, so ito din yung nakikita ko, in philosophy, the way we teach philosophy, it's really more into, sabihin natin na sinasabi ng na more learner centered, but it's really teacher centered. So it's because this is primarily still rooted into the acquisition of knowledge, and wherein we consider our students as ignorance, and therefore it is the teacher who has the access to the canons and have read the canons, and therefore who are the possessors of knowledge, and therefore this knowledge will be transmitted through dyadic student-teacher relation. And also the problem is the teacher is the one who sets agenda by using some use of testing, for example, pre-oral or oral exams. But if it is a teacher-centered kind of education, ito yung nakikita natin. It's more focused into how, for example, our students develop their forms of critical thinking, wherein there is an assumption that students are naturally inquisitive, and therefore as teachers we just facilitates the investigation of our students and their questions. It's because this happens through their group investigations and discussions, and therefore we facilitate our students to determine the course of investigation, because it can be only happens, and the pedagogy that in order to be successful is that it leads to a form of dialogue, as an evidence of success. If our students are conversing with one another, collaborating with one another, and also caring with one another, and being critical with still a thoughtfulness, it's the success of our deliberate instruction. And it reminds me of the prevalency of the banking model of education among philosophers, because parang napapansin ko na ito yung the banking model has been so prevalent because we philosophers don't care about our pedagogy. We don't care about how, siguro it's only now in the pandemic that we care on how are we going to deliver our content. Yun yung isa sa mga nakikita ko, pero it's still as if parang ang nangyayari is we are somehow withdrawing, during the assessment. We are withdrawing yung natutunan ng mga estudyante. Okay, so and then not anymore into the dialogue that we're going to have and the students will be going to have among themselves. So that's why I'm encouraging, I'm currently exploring into a certain form of literacy that was introduced by Paulo Freire, and that is how are we going to connect the word, the words of philosophy into the world of our students, to the world of, for instance, our young children. It's because this kind of, okay, according to Freire, this kind of problem posing model, wherein people develop their power to perceive critically the way they exist in the world, in which they find themselves, they come to see the world not as a static reality, but as a reality, as a process. So as I have said, right now, I'm currently developing a certain kind of framework about education. And one of the principles that I discovered is that education is a combination of content, it's a combination of process, it's also a combination of relationships. it's a combination of this kind of relationship is anchored into mentorship. So it's because content, just delivering the content, it can be one dimensional, it cannot promote a certain form of dialogue, but the kind of relationship that we're going to have, it implies a certain kind of dialogue, and this dialogue responds to the essence of consciousness, the intentionality wherein it's yung sinasabi ko nga, the intentionality, not just on the intentionality of the teacher-student relationship, but it's the intentionality of the 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 connections of the content, to the world of the students, wherein that there will be also the teacher of the students, and the students of the teacher cease to exist, and therefore there will be a new emergence, and that will be the teacher student with student teachers. So that's one thing that I wanted to somehow introduce. So here makikita natin that this is quite yung pinaka summary, that in philosophy, the elitism of philosophy is somehow, I would say, I criticize that it's really still in the banking model, and therefore philosophy itself as being exclusivist, and elitist promotes oppression. It's because sometimes we are being also guilty of resisting dialogue. It's because we are just basing it on, we consider philosophy more as a noun, and therefore we treat our students as object of teaching. But we need to improve our delivery. It's because we need to focus into the problem posing, an instrument for liberation. Therefore we need to promote dialogue so that our students will be our co-learners and thereby becomes critical thinkers. I've been interested into philosophy for children accidentally. It's because naging interesado ako dito when I become a father, and I have a series of conversation with my eldest. At napapansin ko na parang he is more philosophical than me. He treats the questions of reality more critical. But 'di ba? Pero sa iba syempre, ang titingnan ng iba doon, if philosophy is the academic philosophy as somehow canon text, this is not philosophy. So yun yung isang problem. So this is one way that I'm trying to look into. That P4C is therefore a potential Trojan horse, against the ideological apparatus of schooling. So because this will be my last slide, as Lippmann would say, the aim of thinking skills program such as this, philosophy for children, is not really to turn children into philosophers, but to help them to become more thoughtful, more reflective, more considerate, and more reasonable individuals. Kasi if this is the case, if we will be more thoughtful, more reflective, more considerate, and more reasonable individuals, and therefore will be able to really avoid conflict, among our colleagues, our in the community, and etc. So kasi ang nagiging problem in academic philosophy as if we wanted everyone to be philosophers. No, hindi naman yung posible, But what we need is citizens who are actually this, thoughtful, reflective, considerate, and also responsible. And this can be all reasonable, and this can be only achieved, by introducing, the 4 C's of philosophy for children, which later on will be introduced by Teacher Reg. So I think I'm done with the prelude, So but
Okay, as I have said in the lecture, this is a pre-recorded lecture that I gave last year, kaya lang kanina I was not able to deliver it live. It's because I have problem with my connection, and also problem with retrieving also my PowerPoint. Now, to
introduce you to philosophy for children. So I invited Regina because of two reasons. Ano? So yung first one is siya din yung magsaserve as our GTA, and then the second one is also she will be able to really introduce you to philosophy for children. The reason behind this kind of project, it's because this has been a challenge for me on how I'm going to introduce philosophy for children. And that time, and when Regina was a student like you know, I think that was in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, you know. So I assigned her to a reporting on philosophy for children. It's because she is a graduate of early childhood education, and together with uh, her classmates, you know. And then we were able to explore into that idea, and we come up with the different workshops, you know. So right now, part of these projects are actually doing philosophy for children and with children, particularly as a way of introducing critical thinking, you know, to our students. So I'm now giving the floor to Regina. Kasi ang contention ko, mas magandang makipag-usap ang teacher, you know, because a teacher has a real classroom experience in teaching, so that she will be able to convince you on how to do philosophy for children rather than as philosophers. So Regina, are you there?
Yes, sir. Po. Hi, good evening po sa lahat. So, naririnig po ba ako? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes
So,
Po.
alright, thank you. So today, as mentioned by Dr. Abenes, I will be introducing philosophy for children, but will mention also for philosophy with children, because there was a transformation also, like an evolution. So today, in between the presentation, I will be giving out questions also. So I will appreciate if you answer through our chat box or throughout the presentation. All right. So let me share my screen. So I was a student po of Dr. Abenes in his ED 701 class also, and I was introduced to P4C because of Dr. Abenes. So I was teaching in I think nursery that time. So I am an early childhood educator. So I will be talking about accounts of philosophy in young people by my experiences in talking with my students. So what is this about? I will be discussing philosophy for children, approaches and practices in philosophy, philosophical attitudes and skills, my personal student-teacher dialogue, so we can try to relate on how to see philosophy in our teaching. And at the end, we'll try to find a way how we can integrate it with our teaching in our country. So what young Filipinos need, or the 7K. All right. So as mentioned by Dr. Abenes a while ago in his recording, we have the big P and the small p philosophy. So this is the reconceptualized understanding of philosophy, like what we've discussed for the past meetings. The big P of philosophy are the isms. Realism, existentialism, ano ba? Basta yung mga ism, yun yung natatawag natin na big P. Yun yung parang nahihirapan tayong intindihin kasi those are the big words. That is what makes it exclusive in a way, because when we hear those words, we get somehow intimidated or like hesitant to talk about it because we are not that familiar of it. Kahit ako po, hindi ko rin alam, like what Dr. Abene said, this is the view of the teacher and they have the view of the philosopher. So again, big P for the philosophy refers to the traditional understanding of philosophy. Again, the ism, so the thoughts and writings of our great philosophers. So these give the big questions like what is beauty, what is happiness, or understanding, dispute, metacognition, everything. The big questions in life where Aristotle, Plato, Socrates started. Okay. So again, questions of being, of truth and justice, which are notably represented in the philosophical subdomains of metaphysics, physics, ontology, epistemology, ethics, and aesthetics, and others. Okay, so again, big questions, big P, the big words, or what makes it exclusive in our perspective. So now we have the little p of philosophy, so which is primarily a way of approaching and dealing with content in order to come to a deeper understanding of it. So not even knowing what the isms are, we just look at how this term comes to a deeper understanding. So yun po yung little p na hindi natin lalagyan ng isms and isms kasi we're trying to just look at the understanding of it, the context of it. So the little p of philosophy encourages individuals to examine their lives and experiences in order to come again to a deeper understanding of the world and their place in it, instead of exclusively focusing on the established ideas like our great philosophers in the big P. So as Socrates referred to this as situatedness. So what is situatedness? Terming from situation, meaning you are in that context, you are in that location, at that moment, at that event, your perspective, your experiences. That's why we want to have a deeper understanding of it, because those are your own experiences. So that is the little p of philosophy. So distinguishing the two, we now know what can we part of when we give lectures or lessons to our students. Ano bang gusto nating iparating? Big P ba or little p? Okay, so tingnan natin. Alright, so I will be talking about philosophy for children. So, pa-poll lang tayo pa survey. Please type in your answers in the chat box. Have you ever encountered philosophy for or philosophy with children? If yes, please indicate from where, grad school ba, or seminar, or in college. So I know the responses will be fast. I will try to keep up with it. So looking at it, ang daming sagot na no, not yet. In church, I saw in church, really fast. The answers are going super fast. So in college, I saw not by any chance. Okay. So I will wait for not everyone, but majority to answer. So meron, the first time was from last week, from Doc Abenes. Yan. So I like that I see the in college, because personally I didn't encounter it in college. The only time that I encountered it was in grad school with Dr. Abenes. Oh, there's one that in 2009, so yay. Yay.
Ingat. Oh, you know, regarding saan?
Alright.
Hindi ko alam. Ano ba yung sabihin ko sa'yo, ma'am? Ma'am?
Okay, let's see. Alright, there's a lot naman po in college, so yay. There's some in the masters in university. Sophie's World, yes. Okay, in a webinar also, one in grad school also. Discussion but not the application. So I hope we can get some information on how we can simply apply P4C in our classrooms. So for those who are not teaching in the early childhood or elementary, do not be worried. You can apply this, or you can get information, and you may discuss or find the same pedagogy when it comes to older students. Okay, so majority of the answers are no, you have not encountered this yet. So I hope this will be a meaningful session today. So all right, so let me discuss for those who didn't encounter this yet. Philosophy for Children started with Matthew Lipman. So what I've read is Matthew Lipman. Oh, let me show his data first. So he's born in 1923 in New Jersey, and he served in the infantry during the Vietnam War. So he's one of the soldiers there. So from 1954 to 2001, he was teaching philosophy. So that's his subject in university, philosophy, and he died in 2010 in New Jersey also. Why did I highlight this here? When he served in Vietnam War, is that is where he started thinking about P4C when he served in the war. Why? Because while he was there, he was thinking, why do we resort to this kind of dispute? Why do we have to resort to engage in war, whereas in an ideal world, we can simply talk to each other, discuss what's wrong, and maybe have an agreement to what can possibly be done, rather than again resulting to what can be a violent and unfair world for the victims. So that's why I highlighted it here. It's one of his questions when he started B4C. So just like what Dr. Abenes mentioned, Matthew Lipman said that the aim of thinking skills programs such as the P4C is not to turn children into philosophers, but to help them to be more thoughtful, more reflective, more considerate, and more reasonable individuals. Because for Matthew Lipman, if we have thoughtful, reflective, considerate, and reasonable individuals, maybe we will not resort to extreme violence like engaging in wars and disputes. So let's see, how can we increase our students' thoughtfulness, reflectiveness, consideration, and reasonableness in our classrooms. So let's see. So there are 4 C's in philosophy, in P4C, I mean. So what are the 4 C's? Let's start with the first one. The first C is to be collaborative. In essence, we are social people. We are in a society, we are in a community. So the first C in P4C is to engage in a collaboration. So that's why we encourage students to work in groups, to see how they will interact with one another. I know halos lahat po tayo mga teachers for sure nakapag group work na, because we want to elaborate on collaboration. Hindi lang yung lagi tayong mag-isa. Maybe there are topics that we can discuss alone, though collaboration is what we need in order to start a community. Okay, so that is the first C. The second C is creativity, being creative. So we want to empower kids to have that creative expression, and that's why I think sa mga ECE early childhood educators ko dyan, alam natin na kaya natin sila binibigyan ng crayons, ng pencils, at blank paper lang ay dahil gusto nating malabas kung ano yung mga ideas nila, gusto nating ma-empower pa sila doon at masuportahan yung creativity, because from thinking outside the box, we will find solutions, innovations that are possible life-changing events that can happen. So collaboration, creativity. Ang ating third C ay caring. So just like what Lipman said, the more thoughtful students is what we need. Caring. As much as we want them to be creative, collaborative, we want them to reflect also on how to be helpful to others, to find that moral obligation to think of others also. So that's why the third C is for caring. So we already have collaborative, creative, caring. Can I ask everyone to type in the chat box just the word? What do you think the fourth C is? So without searching po So let's see what, oh, sorry. Napakita ko rin. Okay. So what do you think the fourth C is? Okay, so I see a lot of responses. There's critical communication, compassion, curiosity also. Marami palang C, character, competent. Ano pa po? Ang bilis. Care, key, cooperative, calmness, commitment. Maybe we can try to figure out a new P4C. Baka dagdag pa sa 4 para dumami. Because all your responses also are valid. So let's wait for the majority to answer. Conviction, competent, constructive, curious. Ano pa po ba? Character. Contextualized. And so, medyo active po tayo sa chat box today. Later, I will ask for sharing also. But for now, to keep it organized, we'll chat first. Okay, core values. Curiosity, creativity, nandito na po. Cooperation, character, carelessness. Carelessness meaning maybe free in that context. Maybe. Capability. Pwede rin. Okay, carefree, concerned. Catalyst. Consciousness. Okay. Courageous. Charisma, consideration. Okay. So I think majority of us have our last C.
Critical.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the last C, most of you are got the answer. It's critical. Critical meaning we do not lose that analysis part. We can be collaborative, we can be creative, we can be caring, and we also can be critical. Critical meaning we're reflecting, we're analyzing, we're evaluating. Much like how scientists do it, we go through the process of thinking, even a simple cause and effect. We are critical from that. From your answers being a communicator that involves critical thinking also, being there's this consciousness that can be collaborative and caring. What else? Character can be, I think, caring also, and collaboration, where we can see how to communicate properly. So ito po ang ating 4 C's na natatandaan. So collaborative, creative, caring, and critical. Ayan. So let's see how else we can do. So if we do these 4 C's, hopefully we can establish a community of inquirers. So we want them to inquire in the world, we want them to explore, we want them to look around, not just the banking method nga that Dr. Abenes mentioned, that we just give them information, give information and let them just process and evaluate if they got it. So we want them to question also, or to look at their situatedness, if what are their personal experience into the matter. So we want to establish a community of inquirers. Okay? So P4C aims to create intellectually safe communities that nurture the ability to think for oneself in responsible and respectful ways. Again, we want them to think for oneself. We want them to figure out the answer without us giving the answer. We want them to explore what happened rather than giving them the solution right away. My very first experience in teaching, kahit wala pa po yung P4C sa akin, is, ikwento ko lang actually. It's when I started my practicum, my OJT as an early childhood teacher. So it was the culminating activity already, whereas the parents were invited to look at their children's works and all. So this one parent, the mom, yung nanay po ng isang estudyante sa kinder, meron po siyang pasasalamat sa aming mga teachers. So may dala siyang soft drinks. So lahat po kami, alam natin yan, yung may plastic, may soft drinks sa loob ng plastic, tapos may straw. Lahat po kami nabigyan. So ayan po, hindi nag-uusap kami, nakikipagkwentuhan sa mga magulang. Tapos dumating, syempre nandun po yung mga bata, nandun yung mga anak, habang nagkukwentuhan kami, naglalaro din sila sa classroom. At lumapit yung bata na may anak ng mommy na may dala ng soft drinks. So lumapit siya sa nanay niya. Alam mo yung ginanon yung t-shirt, tapos sinabi niya, Ma, kulit niya. Sabi niya, Ma, meron din po siyang soft drinks. Sabi niya, Ma, ba't may bubbles? Bakit kung may bula, gumaganon siya? So, ang response ng mommy, sabi niya, mamaya na, nakikipag-usap ako. So, tumigil po yung bata. So, usap ulit. Lapit siya ulit, mga 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Sabi niya, Ma, bakit nga may bula? Ba't ba may bula? Kasi, iniisip niya, nakita niya, ba't may bula? Tapos, sinabi nung mom talaga na, ano ba yan? Ang dami mong tanong, ang kulit-kulit mo. So, huwag ka na magtanong. So, kahit hindi ko alam yung P4C that time, natandaan ko siya. Kasi, nakita ko yung curiosity ng bata. Natandaan ko talaga siya kasi hindi pa ako gumag-graduate noon. Natandaan ko na sobrang curious ng mga bata. And, isa rin sa natutunan ko sa psychology nung college is, a child will not ask a question if they do not have an answer in mind. They are just trying to confirm or trying to look for answers or trying to find other ways to answer them. So, natandaan ko kasi nga, totoo nga yun, natutunan ko nung college na magtatanong sila kasi curious sila. So, naging recommendation din ng prof ko noon na pag magtuturo ka, magdala ka ng notebook. Kasi nga, pag may mga ganong moments na isulat mo agad. So, ayun, natandaan ko siya, naisulat ko siya agad. Yun din yung nangyari sa iba kong taon na nagtuturo. Kaya, nasuportahan ni Dr. Abenes ang P4C na research ko. So, ayun po. So, mabilis na kwento lang bakit gano'n. So, kaya ako medyo passionate din nung napupush din ni Dr. Abenes na ito ang gawin kong research. Kasi, by own experience din naman. So, ayan. Later, sana sa mga breakout rooms, meron din po kayong, may mga ganun pala din kayong experience. Baka, hindi nyo lang nare-realize na, ay, oo nga, ganun nga naman pala yun. Simpleng ano lang po talaga. pagtatanong, bigla na lang natin marirealize. Okay, so let's see what's next. So, isa po sa mga librong na ipahiram sa akin ni Dr. Abenes, meron siyang tool, a good thinker's toolkit. So, ano yung mga pwede nating tanungin? Rather than giving them the question or giving them the answer right away. Kasi kung yung bata na nagtanong na, Ma, bakit ba may bula? Sabihin ko ba na dahil may carbonization ba ang tawag doon? Kahit ako hindi ko may explain. Pero para sa kanya, bakit nga naman may bula? Nakikita niya bubbles, pero naiinom niya, ba't may bula? So, pwede natin ibalik yung tanong, malay ba natin, meron pala siyang sagot na iba sa ating idea. So, let's see about the Good Thinkers Toolkit na maaari nyo rin pong maggamitin pag may nag-inquire sa inyo. So, may isang question pwede mong sabihin, what do you mean? So, in that context, sana pala natanong ko, anong ibig mong sabihin, ba't may bula? Di sana na-expound ko pa sana. Yun yung isang struggle, hindi ko siya na-encounter noon, even nung college. Kung na-encounter ko sana ang P4C nung college, sana natanong ko nung nag-OJT ako. Baka mas meaningful. Pero buti na lang naisulat ko din siya. Another questions, pwede mo tanongin, what are your reasons? Yeah, it depends on the context also of the question. Another is, what assumptions are you making? Another is, what are your inferences? Anong tingin mo? Bakit kaya may bula? So again, let's try not to answer them right away. Maybe may iba talaga silang nakikitang perspective, and it's valid also. Do we know it's true? One of our big P philosophers is skepticism. We can question what is right in front of us. How do we know if it's really true, or how do we know how it works? Another is, can you give examples or counter examples? In the context of my story, saan mo ba nakikita yung mga bula na yan? Bakit ngayon nakapagtanong ka? Bakit ngayon na-curious na siya? So, ayun. So, these questions may help children learn how to think for themselves rather than us teachers giving the answer right away. I know it's hard for us because sanay tayo na binibigay agad yung sagot because we want them to get the meaning right away, get the term right away. So this is one way for them to help in thinking. So in the global context of philosophy for children, so again, it's been coined by Matthew Lipman in Columbia University in New York. So these are the associations that support P4C. It's been heard all over the world. It's being applied to over 60 countries, many of which are in IAPC, which is where Matthew Lipman is, and then ICPIC, there's Sophia also, network in Europe, Sapere also in the UK. So you might ask, bakit sa global context tayo tumitingin? Dito tayo sa Pilipinas. So in the Philippine context, the first time that it was introduced here is under UP Diliman professor, Dr. Sosimoli. So these are his initiatives and observations in the underdevelopment of P4C here in the Philippines. So he and some of the UP professors attended Matthew Lipman's seminar talk himself. So yun po ay nung nabubuhay pa si Matthew Lipman. So in the year 1994, Lee attended the P4C talk that was headed by the main proponent himself, Matthew Lipman. In 1996, they trained 25 Juan Luna Elementary School teachers, 25 that produced 200 teachers exposed to P4C. So nagtuloy-tuloy po talaga siya for the 2 years. And there was a PNU study wherein the reasoning and the critical thinking skills of students improved from 5% to 12%. Okay, so ito po yung Philippine context natin. Dito tayo magsisimula. Kasi ito yung experiences na mayroon tayo sa ngayon. Meron po akong tanong. Ayan. So type in your answers in the chat box. I know some of you want to give in detail, but for the sake of us processing it and giving time, kindly answer in words and phrases, and then I may call some of you to explain your sentiments. Okay, so my question is, what challenges do you think our country will encounter, when it comes to promoting philosophical thinking in our students? We can use Dr. Sosimoli's exposure. What do you think their challenges were when they implemented P4C? So again, I know you want to explain, but can we try to shorten it into phrases only in the chat box, and then I may call some to briefly explain their point. So chat box muna po tayo, and then I will try to go through your answers. So ayan, again, what are the challenges that you think our country, sorry, na typo ako somewhere, that we encounter when it comes to promoting philosophical thinking in our students? Ayan, for the questions later, maybe we will have time to process them. Okay, what do you think our challenges are? Okay, I have a lot of answers already. Oh, 80. I didn't see the 80 responses. So let me try to... Oh, actually, I can go through the chat box, but for the sharing, you may put a raise hand button, and then we will call you to share. So kung sino po ang gustong mag-share, mag-raise hand button lang ng answer. Again, what are the challenges do you think our country has or have when it comes to implementing P4C or philosophical thinking? So I have Miss Esperanza. Yes po, you can unmute so you can expound on your answer.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes.
Hello. Oh yeah. We are still a backward kind of nation where we are in so many ways still conservative. Our adults actually would often restrict the young ones to inquire further, just like what happened earlier. We have that culture that we sometimes underestimate. A lot of times, actually, the children's capacity to understand things are often underestimated because we believe that they're too young for it. They may not be ready for it. And, what else pa ba? We have that kind of culture. But if we only allow our students, our children to explore things, the moment they become curious about anything, we should allow that to happen because that's where the learning can best happen. Because that already shows the readiness once they are interested about something. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So it's one of our, I think, beliefs. Maybe sometimes it's affected by our beliefs, our traditions, our culture. Now, when we try to question things, it comes off disrespectful. Correct me if I'm wrong of how I understood it. So yes, sometimes it hinders those ideas if we put we look at it as disrespectful when they question us like that. All right, thank you, Miss Esperanza. Another, Sir Paul. Sorry, I cannot see. Paul Enrique Casas.
Ano po?
Yes.
Good evening po.
Good evening.
Ano po? Na-cover naman na halos, more or less yun. Parang yung sinulat ko kasi doon ay downplaying with as by saying pilosopo ka. Parang gano'n, di ba? Yun. So, karugtong na siguro rin yung smart feeling sa iyo po.
Yes. All right, thank you, Sir Paul. Tama. Meron tayong negative notion dito sa Pilipinas pag sinabing ang pilosopo mo naman. Ibig sabihin you're being sorry for the word pero a smart aleck, a smart ass. So, bakit ganun yung tingin natin pag sinabing pilosopo? Pero pag ginawa natin English, you're such a philosopher. Bakit yun tunog smart? Bakit yun tunog may exclusivity katulad ng nabanggit ni Dr. Abenes. Pero bakit dito sa Pilipinas pag sinabing pilosopo ka, meaning you're being disrespectful? 'Di ba? I agree to that notion, Sir Paul. Bakit nga naman pag pilosopo, bakit smart aleck na naman ang tingin natin? So again, like yung sa kwento ko, sa dami niyang tanong, sayang hindi lang nabanggit nung mom, pero I think yun yung susunod sa kanya. Napaka-pilosopo naman, ang dami mo naman tanong. So again, bakit mali bang maging pilosopo? Alright, thank you for that. One more, Sir Ronel Abilion.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening.
I think, ma'am, it is the condition in the country, the condition of being too much bureaucracy, the excessiveness and complicated procedures, administrative procedures or requirements. Iniisip ko nga, before you can propose or establish philosophy lesson sa school, you have to submit proposals. So marami ka nang ikakat na trees bago pa ma-approve nila. I mean, marami kang papel na sasayangin bago ma-approve nila. Although yung intention mo nandun eh. I think that's the bureaucracy, ang isa sa mga challenges sa atin. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Sir Ronel. Actually, I agree. Maswerte lang po ako na nagturo po ako sa private school. So, nung na-discuss ko lamang to sa aking director or curriculum coordinator, nag-agree siya agad. Sige, gawin natin agad. Try mo, ipapakita natin agad sa ibang teachers. So, I agree. I know the struggle pagdating po sa ating school bureaucracy. So, again po, maswerte lang ako na nasa private school po ako nagtuturo. So, meron po akong, pwede akong magbigay ng mga opinion at nasusuportahan agad. So, ayun, I know the struggle. Thank you po. One more, last one, Miss Nanette Mancera.
Good evening po.
Good
Am I
evening.
audible po?
Yes.
Sa akin po ay ang sinulat ko po kasi teacher readiness. I for one po have taught philosophy during the pandemic. I'm in the senior high school. However, I was able to ask questions dun sa pinost na mga good thinker tool. Ang problema, I wasn't able to process. Kasi even ako, hindi ko siya alam kung paano ko siya ipaprocess. So, maybe, hindi rin kasi philosophy ang major ko. So, it's very difficult to discuss or to show philosophy or ganon, parang ganon. So, it's important siguro that also, kung isang challenge din pala is the teacher readiness. Lalo na very limited yung nagkakaroon ng opportunity to attend seminars for philosophy. So, yun lang po.
Alright. Thank you, Miss Nanette. I agree. Tulad nga po ng kwento ko, kung na-encounter ko yung student na nagtatanong about dun sa soft drinks, bago, kung na-encounter ko yung P4C nung narinig ko yung tanong niya, sana mas na-process or sana mas nakapagtanong pa ako. Again, like what Dr. Abenes mentioned, my role here is the teacher view. Again, hindi rin po ako philosophy major at mahirap din po para sa akin mag-process nun. Pero ang tinitignan natin ngayon is possible kaya para sa ating mga teachers yun through P4C. So I know marami pa pong raise hand, but I think I have to continue first. Later on, sana may time pa tayo to uncover your ideas. So for now, I will have to continue. Thank you for your sharing. So actually, lahat po kayo tama sa mga challenges natin. So tignan natin kung ano naging challenges according to Dr. Sosimoli nung nangyari ito sa Juan Luna School. So one of the challenges is the implementation of the thinking skill and reflective inquiry program in colleges of education. So that is that's why I asked you, where did you encounter P4C if you did encounter it? I might say only a few of you answered na na-encounter nyo in college. Me personally, I didn't encounter it in college. I graduated po 2015. So hindi ko po siya na-encounter in college. So that's one of the challenges that Sosimoli raised, because he also is in the philosophy side. Alright. Number 2 is the best practices, models, and paradigms of schools using philosophy for children. So, hindi po talaga tayo exposed. Wala tayong awareness. Wala tayong best practices because we are not implementing it. We do not have this program. Even in colleges, we are not exposed to it. So, kulang talaga tayo sa gantong paradigm of schools using philosophy for children. Third is a developing of instructional materials. So again, later on po, we'll see what are the different approaches to philosophical thinking. So this is one of the challenges seen by Dr. Sosimoli. Again, developing instructional materials, just like what I think, if I'm not mistaken, Sir Paul mentioned, bago pa tayo makapag-implement o makagawa ng instructional materials, ang hirap din umikot muna at dadaan muna sa ibang bureaucracy bago tayo makarating doon. Another challenge is the training of public school teachers or private school teachers in facilitating philosophical dialogue. Just like what Ms. Nanette explained, hindi tayo ready. Hindi natin alam kung paano kahit yung mga questioning minsan naglalak din sa atin because we want to answer them right away kasi marami pa tayong hinahabol na objectives, marami pa tayong gagawin, marami pa tayong exam na gagawin, may lesson plan pa. So, ang resulta sa atin, sinasagot natin agad. So again, the lack of training in philosophical dialogue. Okay, so for Dr. Sosimoli, these are the 4. So again, I agree with the bureaucracy. I agree also with the culture. Ayun nga, pag sinabing pilosopo, bakit negative na sa ating mga Pilipino yun? Kulang tayo sa exposure. So let's see what are the approaches that we can do in philosophy, the approaches and practices in philosophy. So first, the Lippmann method, so for the P4C. So it develops classroom culture of asking questions. Again, we want them to have a community of inquirers wherein they feel safe to give out their questions. So for Lippmann method, they use textbooks based on stories for easier identification of characters and situations. And it turns the classroom into an organized space where children can discuss problems to each other. So we are not limited to just storybooks for the early childhood side. Even the older ones, kahit meron tayong ibang approaches to that. Hindi lang tayo, books lang. So again, hindi lang books, pwede tayong magbigay ng stories. Kahit as simple as, kaya po tayo may mga libro, I think, I don't know if you've seen the book Dot or yung Little Cloud na puro lang siya puti-puti pero wala rin nakalagay na lines or something. Kasi gusto natin tanungin kung ano yung side nung student. Baka nakikita natin sa cloud may elephant pero siya nakikita niya may turtle. Hindi lang natin nakita yung perspective niya. So, if we do not find that we do not provide that safe environment for them, they will hesitate to express their opinions. And we will lose that opportunity for them to be critical and to philosophize, the little p of philosophy. So another approach is democratic philosophical method, wherein we assign a specific function to each pupil and make intellectual demands in order to develop the philosophical skills such as conceptualizing questions and arguing rationally. Personally, I've tried this. If kung natatandaan niyo po, nagkaroon ng sa Suez Canal ata yun, na naipit yung malaking ship, cargo ship sa river at naharangan niya yung buong river. So may nakita akong video na may teacher na gumawa nun, na pinakita niya yung picture, sinabi niya yung sitwasyon, tapos tinanong niya kung kayo yung engineer or kung kayo yung parte ng team na mag-aayos niyan, paano niyo aayusin? So, trinay ko rin siya sa aking mga 4-year-old, 5-year-old. Ang ganda ng mga sagot nila. Talagang kukuha ng rope, tas hihila, tas may isang sumagot, you're not that strong. So, sabi niya, wait, sasama ako, lahat tayo maghilahan. So, hanggang sa naging buong klase na siya, na lahat daw sila hahawak sa rope, lahat hihila. So, wala akong binigay na sagot, ang binigay ko sitwasyon at nakakuha sila ng solusyon nila. Hindi man posible in our sense, in our world, or medyo mahirap man yung idea nila, at least they use their creativity, their collaboration, their critical thinking para naman makita natin kung saan sila nanggagaling. Ganun pala sila mag-isip. Yung isa gagamit lang ng lubid, pero yung isa nakaisip siya na, wait, tutulong ako. So makikita natin kahit yung personality nila nandun. Naabot natin yung 4 na C's agad dun. Nag-collaborate, naging creative sila. May care kasi may sumama. Nag-critical thinking with a simple situation. Nakita natin na posible siyang mangyari agad. So marami po may 2 pa pong methods. So the Socratic method naman, so this is what usually used in universities. So to think logically and pertinently through closed monitor group discussions, ask questions, rephrase idea, and raise objections. Bakit ko nasabi usually sa mga universities to and colleges? Isa to sa mga pag may open forum like what we're doing also, in a way like what we're doing, that we accept all questions, we accept ideas, we can question each other. I can see your questions, but then I want to go through everything in a timely manner. So isa po sa mga challenges. So this is the Socratic method. Again, usually these are the ones in universities where the professor can give out a question and the whole class can engage in a conversation, in a discussion, logically, and still giving out the 4 C's in P4C. One other method is method of Jacques Levin, wherein a baton is passed around to give each child the chance to speak. And sessions are recorded so they can play it back. So when they discuss a situation, they can go back to it and they can discuss, nasabi mo dito, ganito. So why is there a baton passed around? Because every child has a chance to speak. Again, we want to show that community of safe learning environment. So these are the methods or approaches that we can try in our classrooms. Okay, so may question po ako ulit. Again, let's try to limit the answers. Maybe I can try to call 3 people. So from the methods mentioned, which is possible to execute in your classrooms? Or which method do you usually use? Ayan. So, again, sabi ni Lipman, we start with reflection. Personal reflection po muna tayo. Ano po yung mga methods na nagagamit nyo sa classroom and which are possible? I've mentioned my democratic philosophical method, and then meron din po, nagagamit ko rin sa aking classroom ay ang Lipman method, especially with the early childhood. But when I talk to older kids, I use the democratic philosophical method. And Okay, so marami. Jacques Levine, Socratic method. Democratic philosophical method. Okay, Socratic. Democratic. Ayan, meron ding all. Okay, it depends on the topic. I agree. Kilala natin ang mga estudyante natin. Kilala natin kung paano sila makakapaglalabas pa ng mga ideas. So, tingnan natin, makapagtawag po tayo ng mga ilan na pwedeng sumagot. Sir Jose Norman, pwede po kayo mag-unmute. Ay, nawala si Sir. Miss Jennifer Pajares. Or Jennifer, I'm not sure po. You may unmute so you can share your methods.
Sorry, ma'am. That was
Ay, sorry.
I just forgot to lower my hand. But of
Oh,
course,
okay.
I will going to answer your question, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'll be ma'am, choosing yung democratic philosophy method po.
Okay.
Why?
So,
Because for me, everyone in the classroom, including students, have the right or their opinions and ideas are always right for me. But somehow, I'm just aligning it in the concept of what kind of subject I am being teach to them. Meaning it still depends on the subject content po.
All right. So tama po. Again, we know our students. We know. Thank you, Sir Jennifer. Again, we know our students. We know how they will look at the topic. So we find the sufficient or the effective method for it. Okay. Two more. Miss Jean Toyong. You may share po your answers. You may unmute and share your answer.
Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Good morning, sorry. I'm sorry.
Good evening. Napaisip po ako, baka nasa ibang lang kayo time kaya hindi ko na nasabi. Akala ko nasa ibang bansa kayo.
Sorry. Kasi makulit yung baby ko. Ang kulit. Anyway, sige. Hello, good evening to everyone. Hello, good evening, ma'am. So I think since I am in English major also, somehow, is it okay to use two methods somehow in my classroom? Yes, kasi in other aspects, I use a Lippmann method when we read in a literature. So we base the comprehensions questions from the text, and also for the question and answer, I think I use Socratic method. Yes, because I want my student to ask questions and also rephrase their ideas, and I would like them to I would like each my student to raise their objections to each other, and then in the end they will create a synthesis out of the ideas presented in the class.
All right. Thank you, Miss Jean. Tama po. We usually have this mixed method when we think that it's more appropriate to use. I agree. Thank you for your sharing. Last one po, Sir Perry.
Yes
Junior.
po, good evening po, ma'am.
Evening.
I just want to share the democratic philo because I remember when I was in private school specifically, I'll mention the school because I really commend them. How do they train the students with the philosophy of this kind of philosophy, democratic philo, and also part of the verse. They're not Catholic school, affordable private education center schools by Ayala. So it's a venture between Ayala and Person London. So they have this kind of session during the first day of the week. They call it question of the day. So on Monday basis, students will be asked a question to write down question. Of course, students will not raise their hands to have a question. So the teacher will ask to write it down on a piece of paper and put it on a fishbowl. Then at the end of the day, one student will pick a question and everyone will answer. So it's a different point of view of anything that they can. So you're hitting two birds with one stone. Number one is explaining how the students will ask questions and also triggering their speaking confidence in English.
Mhm.
And another thing that they're great with is the life laboratory. I was making jokes with my co-teachers that during that time, it was in 2015. I told to them that if I will be given a chance to be a deputy secretary, I will change the curriculum and add this kind of subject. It's called life laboratories, wherein students will ask by the teachers what is the problem of the community, and they will research
Mhm.
on. I remember my students in the grade 8. They were grade 8 that time. The subject was in science. The focus of the subject was science, but they put it on life laboratories wherein they were asked a question, why do you think that I think my fellow co-teachers and classmates will agree with me that Aguinaldo Highway in Cavite I think it's from Carmona up going to Dasmariñas up to Imus. It's an accident prone kind of road, they call it Killer Highway. So the students were asked, why do you think Aguinaldo Highway is called the Killer Highway? Then the students will devise kind of answers to it, and it triggers what? It triggers their identity in the future. For example, engineer's kind of point of view, or interior designer point of view, or even businessman. So the point of view of the engineer said that, sir, because of the slope, it's going down. That's why it's the momentum of the jeepney, and so on and so forth. So this kind of thing is when you ask the students for questions like this, you're putting them on a situation, you're putting them on a mini society, you're putting them on a mini community that will trigger their future. And I believe, ma'am, it's not only the approaches in the preschool is not only effective in the preschool, but also effective in the high school. We just need to be creative on how we put it on our daily lesson basis. For example, in English, what if Romeo and Juliet did not die? What do you think will
Mhm.
happen? And creativity of a writer will trigger. And now I believe there was this story about Juliet and Juliet. It's a musical already in Broadway, and it was a
Mhm.
story of a junior high school in the United States. So meaning it's from a small story and now it's a bigger production in Broadway. So I think sometimes we just need to be very careful and creative on how we trigger the future of these young learners. And I believe that we need to trigger also the through the questions and ask them, give them the freedom. My students now in the seventh grader in Binyan, they're having difficulty in speaking English. But I'm asking them, I'm not yet telling you to speak English fluently, but we start with confidently because majority of the students are not confident with the language. So it's just to manner of explaining to our dear students what will they do. And that's my sharing, ma'am. Thank you po.
Alright. Thank you, Sir Perry. Very detailed. But I agree. Kahit tingin natin mga questions lang to, nasisingit naman natin yung mga lesson natin. Tama. So, yung 4Cs ng P4C, actually, applicable din sa ating mga teachers. So, tama po. Maraming salamat po sa sharing ni Sir Perry. I'm sorry sa ibang mga naka-raise ng hand, but I will try to continue on with the presentation. Later on, let's see if we have time to go through everyone's ideas. I'm so sorry. Okay, thank you. So, tama, I've seen also in the comments na marami tayong different approaches. So, tama rin sabi ni Sir Perry, nalalabas din natin yung identity ng students with these questions. Again, sa tulong din ng creativity ng teacher, naihalo din natin. Pag sinabi natin mag-share tayo ng question, di natin alam lesson na pala yun in English. Pwede na pala siya for pag nagpo-public speaking. So, i-integrate naman pala natin. Okay? Alright, thank you so much for your sharing. Let's try to to continue so that we can go on with the rest of the objectives. Sana matapos ko ng maayos in a timely manner again. So we go through the philosophical attitudes. So these philosophical attitudes are based on UNESCO's Guide for Philosophical Thinking. So they identified these attitudes. So first attitude, I'll go through it fast so we can see examples of it. Suspension of judgment, wherein we allow these students to detach from the problem and try to give methodological skepticism about it. So we call it suspension of judgment. Astonishment is when we step outside conventions and norms and we look at a fresh idea and what first sight seems, because sometimes we look into it closely that we forget to zoom out. We look at the bigger picture. So we call that astonishment. Confrontation, it's putting oneself against others and against the world. Just like Sir Perry said, di natin alam, ano na siya, pang English na siya, for confidence na siya, for public speaking na rin yung mga questions nila. So, natandaan ko, oo, nakapag-interview na rin ako actually ng mga teachers from the Ayala School, and Ayala Schools really support P4C. The teacher that I interviewed, meron siyang bulletin board sa classroom kasi hindi niya natatapos ang lahat ng mga facilitation ng questions. So, naglalagay siya ng bulletin board wherein the students can put their questions at pwede rin sagutin ng ibang students yung questions. So, nagbibigay siya ng time for that. Distantation is when you step back from our thoughts and then look and examine and bid farewell to consistency that we want to be or we want to say. So, tatanggalin natin kung ano yung alam natin, tatanggalin natin kung sino ba tayo para lang makita talaga kung anong meron. Next is responsibility, wherein we feel responsible, we feel accountable for what we say and for what we do. Another is acquired ignorance or humility. So we assert ignorance as an acquired virtue, wherein we say we do not know this, and that's okay. We do not see it as a negative thing. We do not know this. So, marami sa atin, pag di natin alam, sasabihin natin, homework mo yan, kasi hindi natin alam. Pwede naman umamin, hindi naman kailangan alam natin lahat ng ideas. Okay, next is rigor and severity, where we put our discourse to the test, challenge. So again, hindi agad yun being disrespectful. Sometimes we have to look at it in a different way, a philosophical way, that they are just expressing how they think. Next is authenticity, wherein it's distinguished from sincerity or their inner feelings. So that's how we see their authenticity. It's a philosophical attitude also. Next is availability, wherein it's being in the world, being present in the world and opening yourself up to others. All right, so I went through it fast because I want you to see the examples you may have. So philosophical skills naman po tayo, deepening one's understanding. So it's like the scientific method, where it starts with explaining, arguing, analyzing, synthesizing, exemplifying, and interpreting. And then eventually can be identifying presuppositions. The next one is problematizing, wherein it's Kant's basic modalities of discourse. They ask what is possible, what is simply asserted, and what is proven when it comes to that idea. So these are philosophical skills. One more is conceptualizing, wherein we find or characterize or conceptualize the content of what is shown to us or what was said. All right. So again, that's why I went through it fast so that we can look at examples. So these are my personal student-teacher dialogues. Again, ito po yung mga nakasulat sa notebook ko nung nagtuturo po ako. So I had a dialogue with a 10-year-old boy. So he said, "Teacher, if you were a banana with legs and arms, what would you do to protect yourself?" So again, hindi ko pa po alam ang P4C dito. So sinagot ko siya. Kahit dapat hindi ko siya sinagot or sana iba yung natanong ko. Pero ayan, again, yung tanong niya, if you were a banana with legs and arms, what would you do to protect yourself? Very creative po talaga ang estudyante kong to. So bigla na lang siyang nagtanong ng ganyan. So sabi ko, I don't know, maybe hide from monkeys. So sabi ko, how about you? Tapos nagulat ako sa sagot niya. Ang sabi niya, I will eat myself so nobody can hurt me. So tinanong ko siya, so you're gonna let yourself vanish? He said, no, I'm now a banana peel. So sa isip ko, ala, hindi ko naisip yun. Para sa akin, wala. Hide from monkeys. Kasi ang alam ko, kakainin ng monkeys yung banana. Pero hindi. Naisip niya yung ganito. Surprising. For a 10-year-old, hindi, kahit ako na 10 years old, at 20 years old, at 30 years old, hindi ko maiisip to. So, what are the philosophical attitudes and skills shown here? Confrontation, distantation, rigor and severity, his authenticity, his availability, deepening one's understanding, problematizing, conceptualizing. For me, he did all three because of his idea. So the context here is he is my tutee, I'm a tutor. So habang gumagawa kami ng worksheet, bigla na lang niya akong tinanong nito. Actually, yung worksheet nga ata namin nito, math. So talagang nilabas niya ang kanyang inner feelings, and his feelings is paano kung maging banana ka. Okay? Alright. So next one is this one is the same boy actually. So he said, teacher, do you know what I hate about life? Again, sana iba yung questioning ko, pero napakita pa rin naman yung philosophical explanation. So sabi ko, what? Sabi niya, when people die, why do people have to get old? Can't we just get second chances when we die? So, hindi ko rin siya nasagot. So, for a 10-year-old boy, thinking of this, we think, hindi naman siya realism, hindi existentialism, hindi isms. Kasi 10-year-old lang siya. So, we didn't know he was doing little P already, the little P of philosophy, thinking about death, thinking about second chances, thinking about maturity and growth in a different way that we think, students think, na pag sinabing death, we have to explain na going to heaven and hell, or going to another reincarnation or something. Or when we get second chances, we go to the religious route or spiritual route. So I didn't know that he had those ideas. So for the philosophical attitudes and skills, for me, it was confrontation, suspension of judgment. He went beyond conventional beliefs. He was authentic. He became available for that moment when he questioned that. For me, he conceptualized death and maturity and growth and giving second chances. All right. Next is this one is it's a different boy, a different 10-year-old boy. So he said, teacher, are you sad? Random again, we were doing worksheets again. And then randomly, he said, teacher, are you sad? So sabi ko, no, why? Tapos ang sagot po niya ay, because you don't have a boyfriend. So for us, nakakatawa yon. Baka kung mainit pa ang ulo ko, hindi, joke, baka nainis pa ako, hindi. Hindi naman. So, nung sinabi niya, because you don't have a boyfriend, bakit to philosophical? Bakit nga ba? So, dati pa po ito. So, bakit nga ba siya philosophical for me? Kasi, doon niya na-associate yung emotions. Doon niya na-associate na pag malungkot, pag masaya, may love life. Yun yung pagkakaintindi. So, pag tinanong mo siya ng big P, pag tinanong mo siya, sabihin niya sa'yo, what is happiness? Sasabihin niya sa'yo, pag meron kang love life. What is sadness? Pag wala kang love life. So again, hindi natin naiisip na big P na rin naman yung tinatanong nila eh. Akala lang natin, little P of philosophy lang, yung process. But they're actually asking about the big P in philosophy. So, for me, the attitudes were confrontation, rigor and severity, authenticity, availability, skills. I deepen all the skills, deepening one's understanding, problematizing, conceptualizing. So again, kung hindi natin alam yung P4C, baka nagalit pa ako sa kanya na pilosopo ka, hindi man ako malungkot dahil dyan eh. 'Di ba? So, hindi natin alam, philosophy na yun. Kasi nakikita na niya kung meron na siyang kino-connect sa buhay niya, sa buhay mo. Ayan. Let's see. Okay. So, I had a conversation with a 6-year-old girl. So, nilapitan ko siya. Sabi ko, you know, my name's Regina too. So, ang inaasahan natin, parang, wow, really? Ang sagot niya sa akin, ay, do you have a birth certificate? So, katulad nung kanina, pilosopo to ah. Sinabi ko ng pareho kami ng pangalan, question pa ako ng ganito ah. So, akala natin, again, in Philippine context, sasabihin mo, ang pilosopo mo naman. Pero hindi. Philosophical thinking. She was skeptical. There was suspension of judgment. Baka niloloko lang ako nito. Bakit? Kailangan ko na ebidensya. Do you have a birth certificate? Confrontation, availability, rigor, and severity. Again, problematizing. She was skeptical about it. Bakit ko nga naman iisipin bakit ko nga naman paniniwalaan agad? Kung pangalan mo nga naman, Regina, parang di ako naniniwala. So, it's philosophical. Kahit simpleng tanong lang niya, hindi natin alam, yun pala, nag-iisip na rin sila. Metacognition na. Okay, this boy is the same with the one who had a question about banana, becoming a banana and when we die, about death. So now his question was, teacher, if everyone is different, is God different? Ayan, medyo deep talaga siya mag-isip. Katulad nung sinabi ni Sir Perry kanina, nakikita natin yung identity nila. Na meron pala silang gantong ideas. So, ang swerte ko lang na comfortable siya sa akin, na bigla niya akong tinatanong ng kahit anong context, naggagawa lang kami ng worksheet. Bigla niyang nilalabas yung mga feelings niya, yung inner feelings niya. So, tingnan natin yung sagot. Actually, hindi pa ako nakapagtanong. Sinabi niya, I think he's not. He can just make 2 of him. Actually, dito napatahimik talaga ako. Napaisip ako na, ganun pala yung perspective niya. So, nakikita natin na this is how he sees God, sees the higher being of what he is capable of. So, this is not knowing how they practice religion also. So, ang galing ng kanyang pag-iisip. So, tiyan natin, mahuhulaan niyo po ba kung ano yung mga attitudes and skills na possessed na tong 10-year-old boy? Actually, kanina pa siya, dami niya talagang questions. Can I see in the chat box, what do you think are the attitudes and skills possessed in this inquiry? Na teacher, if everyone is different, is God different? I think he's not. He can just make 2 of him. So, hindi ako nakasagot, pero tanggap niya. Hindi siya nag-follow-up question. Unfortunately, hindi ako, again, katulad nung sinabi ni Miss Nanette kanina, ang hirap para sa teacher kung wala kang philosophical background. Kasi ang ganda sana kung na-engage ko pa siya sa ibang ideas niya. Pero hindi ako equipped that time. So, hindi ko pa siya natanong. Pero tinanggap naman niya. Meron pa siyang mga ideas that time. So, tignan po natin ang inyong mga answers. There's deepening of understanding, authenticity, confrontation, rigor and severity, suspension of judgment. Yan, he's very clever po. I won't say he's confused. But he is very clever. He's a very good observer. And what I like about him is he has vocabulary that he can really say what he wants to say. Okay, distantation, authenticity, and conceptualizing. For the other questions, sorry, later po. Sana may time tayo for the questions. Ayan. May nagsabi he will grow up to be a philosopher. I hope so. Wala na akong contact sa kanya, pero I hope so. I think so also. Ayan, so tama po kayo. Ang attitudes ay confrontation, dissentation, rigor and severity, authenticity, availability, and then the skills, he did all three. He has a problem, he conceptualized it, he had a deeper understanding of it. Right? Let's see another one. So this one is with a 4-year-old girl. She said, I asked if you can touch, I think prior to this, I had a story with them. So I asked, if you can touch one of these animals, which one will you choose? A snake, an iguana, or a sheep? So usually, ang nakukuha kong sagot as a preschool teacher is, usually depende sa favorite color nila, or kung ano yung experience nila. So ang sagot po niya ay the sheep. So sabi ko, why? Sabi niya, because it's not dangerous. So I wasn't expecting for a 4-year-old to identify which one is dangerous for her and which one is not dangerous. Again, from my experience in convention, sometimes they just bank on anong color ng snake, yun yung hawakan, or nakakita na siya ng ganon, yun yung hawakan. Pero nagulat ako nung sinabi niyang it's not dangerous. So she was thinking about safety already, beyond what I thought they could. So again, can you try identifying ano po kaya ang philosophical attitudes and skills in this dialogue? So it was mentioned a while ago, the dialogical approach. So in P4C, this is the best thing to do is to engage in dialogue. Actually, with philosophy, with children, it's the better approach is for us to engage in dialogue with the kids so that it's child-centric. Okay, conceptualizing authenticity, distantation also. Ayan, so tingnan po natin ang sagot. So again, confrontation, distantation, authenticity, availability, and then the skills are problematizing. I gave her the problem, she knew the concept, and she had the answer for it. Alright, next po is, okay, ito po 2-year-old boy, pero very, in our words, matatas siya, sobrang matatas. So again, I was reading a storybook with different languages, so I was saying, there are different ways to say hello. You can say hola, hello, guten tag, bonjour, or ciao. And then, bigla siya nag-raise ng hand. So sabi niya, teacher, I eat chow long bao. Okay, so this one medyo challenging. Why do you think this shows philosophical thinking? Pwede po natin i-chat sa chat box. I hope I can see. So when the child said, oh teacher, I eat chow long bao, hindi naman yun yung pinag-uusapan ko actually. Pero bakit kaya? So ayan, may nakita na ako. So something that he could relate with, or for him, it's rhyming words. Again, we go back to the little P na situatedness. We want to get their personal experience. So he related my words, what I was saying, to his personal experience. Na, uy, narinig ko yung siya, teacher, I eat chow long bao. So, there's the context. He identified the context right away. He related it, the language. So there's the language games also. So the attitudes here, confrontation, responsibility, authenticity, availability, skills, conceptualizing. Bakit authenticity? Bakit kailangan ng inner feeling sa philosophy? If he didn't feel like he could share in that environment, I wouldn't know that he was conceptualizing that language into his experience. So kung hindi siya nakapag-share ng ganun, di sana hindi ko nalaman na may ganun palang ideas. At 2 years old, very matatas po talaga siya. At 2 years old, kaya niyang mag-conceptualize ng language. So authenticity here for me was very important. And availability. He was really real in that context. Okay? Ito, sorry. So, a student, a girl, said, teacher, they're so in love. love. She was drawing actually. So sabi ko, how can you say that they're in love with each other? So sabi niya, when they're sad. Sabi ko, why is that when they're sad? So ang sagot niya ay, so para sa kanya, pag in love kayo, mukhang malungkot. So ang sagot niya, sabi ko, why is that when they're sad? She said, when one goes away, the other feels sad. So yung drawing kasi niya, medyo magkalayo silang dalawa. So nilagyan niya ng sad face. Pero para sa kanya, in love. Kasi malungkot yung isa, kasi ang layo ng isa. So ang cheesy niya. Pero at 4 years old, tinanong actually, since hindi ako makapaniwala, tinanong ko yung mom, kwento ko sa kanya na, nakwento po na I was asking her to draw and ganyan. Tapos nakwento ko na ito po yung naging definition niya sa akin nung sinabi kong bakit sila in love. So nagulat din yung mom. Nagulat siya. Ang nakwento nung mom ay, I think ang last na pinanood ng bata ay How to Train Your Dragon ata. So I think na-conceptualize niya nung magkalayo yung dalawang trainer. I forgot their names. Malungkot sila. So without that explanation, yun yung nakuha niya from what is love. For us, even adults, we do not know how to conceptualize love. We don't know the meaning of love. But for her, it's when you're feeling sad because when you're away from that person, you feel sad and it means that you love that person. So again, it's the little P process, but it's the big P of philosophy already. So the attitudes here were confrontation, distantation, authenticity, availability, deepen the skills, all three, deepening one's understanding, problematizing, conceptualizing. So again, I would like to emphasize on the authenticity and availability. It's important to find that safe environment for them to be able to express those things. Kasi actually online pa to nung nangyari. I was letting her draw on her whiteboard. Tapos pinakita niya lang sa akin. Tapos sinabi niya, they're so in love, mga ganon. So, nagulat ako. Ganon. Alright. So, yun po yung mga experiences ko. I think, I don't know, we do not have much time. Maybe I can call one lang for this. So do you have similar conversations and can you share your experience? So we want to save it for your breakout room also. Kaya isa lang po sana yung tatanungin ko for this. So you can raise your hand. Do you have similar conversations and can you share your experience looking at the philosophical attitudes and skills? Ano kaya yung na-apply natin doon? So again, I'm sorry, I will have to just call one to share if you have a similar experience. We can reflect on our own teaching. Paano ba? May na-experience ba tayong ganito? Or nag-iisip pa tayo, pwede namang later siguro sa breakout room. Baka meron. Ay, ayan. Okay, may si Sir Jennifer ulit. Okay, go Sir Jennifer.
Actually, ma'am, that was when I teaching yung sa how do life begins on earth. And then one student is asking me, ano daw po ang nauna, itlog o manok? Yun po yung yun yung philosophical question na nasa kanya noon. So, sabi ko lang sa kanya, it depends on your point of views kasi pag biblical views, nauna yung chicken. Kung philosophical views naman, depende na rin sa understanding mo kung paano mo siya na-absorb. Yun na po.
Okay, thank you Sir Jennifer. So, meron tayong ganong questions talaga. And we find where they're coming from. Nakikita naman natin may point naman talaga yung mga questions. Okay, one more, Miss Jennifer. You may unmute po.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening, everybody. So, actually, my experience wasn't really in the classroom. It was with my student, which was one of the closest one to me kasi he's not really good. He was actually struggling during that time. He was grade 7. when I asked him to get his Form 137. So I told him, see me later and I'll just give you the money so you can get your Form 137 because it seems like you don't have the initiative to get your Form 137 in the elementary school. So he came naman. He went to the faculty office and he was like shouting, ma'am, yes, yes. Can I get my Form 37 na? Yes. Oh, give me the money. Because I promised him I'm gonna give him a money. So, noon kasi, it was, I think, 7 or 10 years ago, we just give 10 pesos para lang makuha mo yung Form 137. Sabi ko, oh, 10. Then, he suddenly said, ma'am, bakit 10 lang? Sabi niya, ha, magkano pa? 100. Bakit 100? Ma'am naman, mamamasahe pa ako. Kakain pa ako lunch break na po ito, ma'am. Nangamot tuloy ako, bakit times 10 na? Although he has a point na, oo nga naman, magta-travel pa naman siya. Tapos kakain pa naman siya kasi gutom na daw siya kasi maghihintay pa naman siya doon kung kailan daw matatapos yung Form 137 niya. So we all laughed in the office. Tapos kamot ako, nag-100. Sabi ko, wala naman na akong nagawa. Pero thinking of which, oo nga, may point naman siya. Kasi mahal nga naman yung travel expenses pa niya, kain pa niya, maghihintay pa siya para lang makuha niya yung Form 137. Tapos yun lang po, until now, whenever we get to see each other, we were laughing and reminiscing kasi medyo matanda na rin siya ngayon. May family na siya. Yun po. Thank you.
Alright, thank you, Miss Jennifer. So tama, akala natin pag nung nanghingi siya ng 100, alam mo yung mga pilosopo or again, being a smart aleck, bakit 100? Pero hindi natin na-realize, okay, nag-conceptualize na siya. Wait, pupunta ako doon, kakain pa ako, ganun. So, hindi natin nakita na he was actually very logical with his process. So, tama yun na, oo nga naman, di lang 10 pesos, Ma'am Jennifer, yung kailangan. Alright. Sige po, I think we have one more have time pa, Miss Rosalina, to share.
Good evening po.
Good evening.
Naalala ko po kasi ma'am nung grade 1 teacher pa po ako dati sa Mountain School po iyon. Meron po akong isang estudyante. Ang topic po namin sa Araling Panlipunan. Ang topic po namin yung maliit at malaking pamilya. Kasi pinost ko po yung picture, yung family na isa lang yung anak, tapos yung family na marami pong anak. Tapos nagulat po ako, sabi ko, kung kayo ito, alin dito ang gusto niyo maging pamilya, yung maliit or malaking family. Tapos lalaki po akong estudyante, sabi niya, yung ano po, yung malaking family. Kasi hindi ko po in-expect na malaki kasi pinaliwanag ko po yung kahirapan ng malaking pamilya sa pagkain, gano'n, tapos yung maliit na pamilya. Tapos sabi ko, bakit mo gusto yung malaking pamilya? Sabi niya po, kasi pag namatay po yung isang anak, may mga anak pa pong iba. Naisip ko po, nung matagal na, naisip ko po na, oo nga naman, kasi kung isa lang yung anak mo, eh di pag namatay siya, wala ka ng anak. Kaya yun po, hanggang ngayon po, hindi ko makalimutan yung boy po yun na estudyante ko ng grade 1. Nakakaano lang po, kasi napapaisip ka po, nga ba't niya naisip yun na pag namatay nga po parang ang isa, marami pang matitirang anak. Yun lang po. Thank you po.
Alright. Thank you, Rosalina. Tama na may ganun talagang moments no, na matatandaan natin yung mga ganong sagot like what I've shared also kanina na sa Philippine context, pag narinig natin yung ganong sagot, iisipin natin na ano ba yan? Iniisip na niya agad, mamamatay agad yung mga kapatid, yung mga anak. Pero that's how he problematized. Yun yung tanong eh. Anong pipiliin eh? So, yun yung sagot niya in his reasoning. Yun yung sagot niya. Which is, he did think for himself. So, tama naman. Yeah, right. Thank you, Miss Rosalina. One more, Miss Esperanza. So we can finish all the ones raising a hand.
What I could actually observe when I was a preschool teacher, doon po sa philosophical attitudes, one of the strongest and very evident po na philosophical attitudes nila is yung rigor and severity. Oftentimes when they have something or a question in mind, they would keep on asking as long as you find time to answer them. They would keep on asking, pero bakit? Bakit ganyan? Another question would follow up just so they could fully understand. And the moment you get to have an answer, sometimes they would even continue questioning about it. Nakakatawa lang po. And then about the philosophical skills, I guess ang pinaka nakikita ko talagang ano dito is yung conceptualizing nila. They're very strong in conceptualizing, but I guess the foundation or what makes it very strong for them to really be able to conceptualize is their skill in imagination. So every time, sabi ko, feeling ko, if we capitalize on, teaching them or teaching them stories or providing them sort of information where they're going to be using their imagination, siguro this is something that they could actually develop then improve on by improving their imagination. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. I agree. As a preschool teacher, personal experience ko din yan na ang dami nilang tanong, may sagot. Actually, ang swerte natin na natutuloy nila yung conversation. Rather than pag nasagot natin sila, baka tumigil na yung pag-iisip nila kasi nabigyan na natin sila ng sagot. But thank you so much for that sharing. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. Bibilisan ko na po. Ma'am Jessa, sorry. Maybe later during the breakout room, you can continue with the sharing. I'm so sorry. Mabilis na lang po para meron tayong pang breakout session. Okay. So, in the context of the Philippines, pwede siguro tayong magkaroon ng P4Z, pero hindi lang 4 na Cs yung kailangan natin. Mayroon po kaming nahanap na resource na meron silang pinatupad na 7K para sa mga bata. So it's a community of learners. But it's from Aklatang Gabay, Aruga, Kaagapay sa Pag-angat at Pag-asa. So ano kaya yung 7K? So yung P4C, 4 lang. Pag Pinoy, pag Pinoy, 7K. So tingnan natin. So ang unang K ay kalinga. So, alam natin, kailangan ng kalinga ng ating mga estudyante. Pangalawa po ay kausap. So, this is very evident in dialogical experiences. Kalinga, kausap, kasama. So, kahit sa picture, makikita natin, big families agad. Swerte natin, lagi tayong may kausap. Ang mga bata natin, lagi may kausap, may kasama in our community. Kalaro. So, katulad nga na nasabi ni ma'am, kung may imagination at wildly used ang kanilang creativity sa paglalaro, na-experience nila ang mga bagay-bagay, ang laking benefit nito sa kanila. So, kalinga, kausap, kasama, kalaro, may 3 pa tayo, kalusugan. Unfortunately, it's also a challenge for us here in the Philippines, ang field ng health, ang kalusugan. Some of our students are having difficulties finding food to keep up with the day. So, sana makapag-focus din tayo sa kalusugan. So, ito 2-in-1, okay, kakayanan at kaalaman. So, again, with everything here, we have always to go back to the basic comprehension. Yan naman din ang isa sa atin ng mga objectives, lalo na sa ating mga teachers, kakayanan at kaalaman, hindi yan nawawala. At ang last K ay kapaligiran. So, katulad din yan ng kalaro na nakikita yung na-experience sa mga bagay, sa kapaligiran ma-experience din nila, ma-unlock natin yung creativity nila and curiosity nila sa kapaligiran. So again, ang 7K para sa mga bata na pwede nating tandaan lagi dito sa Pilipinas, kalinga, kausap, kasama, kalaro, kalusugan, kakayanan at kaalaman at kapaligiran. So ayan, let me finish with Matthew Lipman's quote na, let us transform already thinking children into children who thinks well. So wag natin pigilan yung thinking na yun. Tulungan pa natin silang mag-isip pa ng mabuti. Right? Thank you so much. That will be my presentation for today. I will give you to our moderator already. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Regina. Thank you so much. I think napakaganda ng discussion natin ngayon. There are so many teachers and I think even parents can relate to your discussion. And I think yung pag-open ng discussion ni Doc Aben is about dialogical method. I think instead of discussing it in a way na it's just about question and answer, then magkakaroon ng synthesis. This is a good way of trying to, parang how would you parang apply dialogical method in a classroom setting, especially in the basic education. Actually, I heard about the philosophy for children many years ago. We had this training at Ateneo before the K-12, and then I think si Dr. Sosi Moli and I think Dr. Rowena Palacios who first talk about it. Sila yung mga naunang. And then, it also made me remember two philosophers. One is si Ludwig Wittgenstein, who was, ironically, was a analytic philosopher, pero he ended up teaching in the kindergarten. Sabi niya kasi yun daw mga student sa kindergarten has more sense of wonder than the student in maybe in the college or graduate level, And then there's another philosopher, siya talaga pagtayo siya ng school. I think ito yung favorite ko na philosopher of education, though hindi siya kasali dun sa yung mga big P's, yung mga isms na tinatawag natin. Ito as Rudolf Steiner, who has yung Waldorf School in the Philippines, Pero unfortunately, hindi yun yung aim niya. It was actually the school was designed for the children of factory workers. Pero when it was applied in the Philippines, it becomes an elitist school. So katulad ng sinasabi ni Sir Abenes kanina na yung philosophy, yung education, yung kind of, yung parang skills and abilities na ma-acquire mo sa philosophy should not be elitist, that the way it was conceived by Plato. It should be accessible to everyone. So I just hope na it will also be adopted sa mga public schools, kasi maraming, I think, this is also our difficulty with PUP, kasi PUP is more of a business school. We had the College of Education, which is performing well in the board exams, pero yun, medyo meron kaming konting with those who are going to teach philosophy of education. Some of them are not really from the philosophy department. Kasi they fear na, baka kung ano ituro ng mga taga-philosophy and it will affect the board exam results. Parang ganon, So I think it was varied yung this is a nice way of, kahit ako, I was wondering before, in an actual setting, how are you going to really apply philosophy for children, How are you going to kasi sa college madali yan, how are you going to teach critical thinking in college, di ba? But how would you do that to a 4-year-old or to a 3-year-old or even younger, di ba? So, yun. I think this is we had a nice conversation. And kahit ngayon nauuso na sa philosophy yung dapat pa nag-philosophize ka, hindi naman siya laging pa-argument, or argumentative. Minsan magandang mag-philosophize by means of stories, Sometimes stories are better than arguments, So I think those are my key takeaways for the evening, So we proceed now with the questions. We have questions. So, alam ko marami ng interaction kanina at masaya ako na excited ang lahat mag-share, Do we have questions about the lecture of Dr. Abenes and of course, yung magandang lecture ni Miss Regina Rafael? Do you have questions? You can put it in the chat box and you can also raise your hand. Meron pa tayong konting oras before the breakout. I think meron nga, ayan, si Miss Jessamay. Yes, Jessamay?
Yes po, ma'am. Good evening po.
Good evening.
I'm na-interest po ako sa topic ngayon kasi being a child na curious before, talagang mga ganon din yung mga tanong, tapos yung mga sagot parang ganoon din. So I can link din no na I would just like to share na whenever parang dito ko siya na-appreciate nung whenever I ask something, especially if it's situational. For example, tinatanong ko sa high school students ko na, why do you think our ancestors or our elders believe in superstitions? Mga ganun po. Of course, or we are kind of expecting the exact answer, especially if it's sa other na mga scenarios. Supposing parang may exact answer, 'di ba? Because may may research, parang may fact na ganito talaga kasi na-prove siya ng science. But when you try to ask something, of course, 'di ba, may sinasagot yung mga bata kasi ang iba nagi-guess or baka meron silang prior schema tapos hindi lang yun exact. So, I can still remember from my teachers before, whenever they ask, parang sinasabi nila agad-agad na, no, you are wrong. 'Di ba? Pero in my case, whenever they try to answer like a different answer, and then I can think na, oh wow, parang creative din yun. So instead na sinasabi ko na, you're wrong, that's not the correct answer. Parang inano ko na, wow, that's a creative answer. 'Di ba? So parang hindi yun wrong. Although yung ano niya, yung of course, it's not the exact answer that we are expecting as teachers, pero we really have to appreciate din yung ano yung na-create nilang idea out from that answer. Kasi it's an indication na they're thinking, but of course, yung answer nila based kasi yun sa prior experiences nila, sa yung schema lang nila. So ganoon po, parang na-appreciate ko lang siya na okay pala yung whenever yung response ko, oh, that's a creative answer. But I would like to know the exact answer or based on or proven by scientific explanation. Parang ganoon lang po. Thank you po.
The sharing of Miss Lourdes, tama ba? Kanina? Okay. All right. So the next one we have, see, is this Elises or Pilia? Okay. Miss. Ayan. Paki-unmute po. Jessamay. Yes, Jessamay or Pilia. Yes.
Hello po, ma'am.
Hi, good evening
Parang
po.
nag-answer hindi po ako nag-answer kanina po.
Okay.
I think I'm done na po, ma'am.
Done na, okay. Okay, I think we can have one more before the breakout. Wait. Ay, Miss Maria Alona, di makulangan.
Hello po.
Hello po. Good evening
Ayan.
po.
So, I already encountered some instances wherein not just my students but also my daughter asked me some questions like that. So, ang tanong ko po ay, is there a specific or precise approach on how to handle that situation? Something like, kumbaga halimbawa yung may tanong yung kay ma'am kanina, yung Regina, di ba meron po doon na if you were a banana with legs and arms, what would you do to protect yourself? So, things like that. Paano po ba yung tamang pag-handle? Or yung halimbawa yung may kanina na may God na tinatanong yung bata. So, kasi paano ba yun sagutin? Do we have to respond as the bigger person na alam natin, I mean from the biblical or theological perspective, sagutin natin or yung bakit namamatay and then sabihin natin yung, I mean, mag-respond tayo from the scientific perspective. So yun lang yung tanong ko kasi one time I can't remember the exact question my daughter asked me, but I told about it to my friend who happens to be a psychologist, and then yun lang, sabi niya, ano yung sagot mo? So I can't remember it right now. But then yung sabi niya sa akin na parang hindi, kumbaga parang hindi, you don't have to give the exact answer. Halimbawa, from the scientific perspective or theological perspective. However, you direct the children on looking for the answer him or herself. So something like that. I'm just curious on that po. Thank you.
Ma'am Alona, no? So, actually, if you're going to parang to answer that dun sa dialogical na method na pinag-uusapan natin, it's not really, hindi talaga, I think mali na sagutin natin siya dun sa mga biblical answer or scientific answer. But ang key doon is makapag-acquire ng skill yung bata to ask more. Rather than or to be able to ask more and siya mismo yung makasagot sa sarili niyang tanong. Yun yung purpose ng asking question. Yun yung opposite ng tinatawag nating banking method. Na instead of providing answer, we make them find answers to their own question. So, ganun po. And I think psychologically it will be good for the child kasi hindi mai-invalidate yung baka may iniisip siyang sagot na iniisip niya, hindi niya masabi na yun ang sagot dahil natatakot siya or baka mali siya. Okay, so we can have one more. Jennifer?
Hello, good evening again, ma'am. So, in the case of the children kasi, there are questions that's really hard. They're really hard to answer. For instance, when they ask where the babies come from. So, how will you answer those things na napakahirap sagutin? So, I just want to know how can we answer such questions like that when a certain child asks?
Sige, ask natin si Ma'am Regina kasi siya yung mas may expertise sa but I'm going to give my answer later on. Miss Regina, nandito pa ba siya? Miss Regina?
Yes po.
Yeah. Yung question ni Ma'am, yung tungkol sa yun, paano mga katulad din hawig doon sa unang tanong paano mo sasagutin yung mga ganong tanong na ikaw mismong teacher ay ang hirap sagutin?
So, katulad nung sinabi ko kanina yung dialogues ko, ang swerte ko na hindi nag-iba yung course ng ideas ng students ko kahit may naisagot ako sa kanila, kahit hindi ko na-probe yung question. Ang swerte ko na they were comfortable in that environment na nasagot pa rin nila. Pero in terms of paano nga ba sagutin yun, minsan ako tinatanong ko rin sarili ko, again, teacher background ako, hindi ako philosopher background. So pag may ganong questions, tinatanong ko rin yung sarili ko. Pag sinabi nilang, paano nga ba ginawa yung bata? Actually, tinatanong ko right away is, what do you think? Ano tingin mo? Para lang nakikita ko pag sumagot sila, okay, yun yung idea, yun yung direction na pinupuntahan nila. So again, minsan akala natin kailangan natin sagutin agad. Pero we think of the Good Thinkers School toolkit na we have those questions. Pag sinabi nilang, ganito ba ginagawa yung bata kasi nakita ko ganyan-ganyan. Pwede mong tanungin, saan makita yan? Or, bakit kaya ganun naisip mo? So in that's my teacher perspective. Sa philosophical perspective, I think kailangan ko ng tulong ni Ma'am Agnes and Doc Abenes when it comes to those questioning. So magko-call a friend na rin po ako.
Oo. So I think ganun nga yun. I think ang emphasis dun is we develop the attitude of inquiry, curiosity, which are yun yung mga valuable. Tsaka yung how do they think otherwise. Yung hindi ito yung pinaniniwalaan ng karamihan, pero kaya niya mag-isip ng iba. So I think yun yung mga ganun yung mga skills na dapat ma-develop natin rather than yun sinasabi sa banking method Kaya nga banking method is nagpo-provide ka na nagpo-provide ng answer. Pero pag natutong mag-isip for themselves yung mga bata, they become independent learners. So yun yung goal natin. Yung goal natin is what kind of attitude do we want to have for our students rather than ano ba dapat ko isagot? Di ba? Parang ganun. So, siguro contextualize mo rin dun sa sitwasyon, saka dun sa kung nasa ang circumstansya kayo, Okay. So, I think yun muna. And then, ano ba yung mga key points, Ma'am Regina, na pwede nilang pag-usapan sa kanilang breakout before we had the breakout?
So katulad po nung naging tanong, paano natin i-approach pag may mga ganong tanong? Ano pa kayang tanong ang pwede nating itanong pabalik pag may mga ganon tayong nakukuhang inquiries? At baka makapag-reflect din sila na nagagawa naman na pala nila to sa classroom. Paano pa nila maiigting pa, tsaka paano pa dadagdagan? Baka pwede rin nating ma-erase sa kanilang mga leaders sa school din. So, ayun po.
So more or less, paano nila integrate sa classroom setting at sa kanilang
Yes.
mismong syllabus or dun sa kanilang lesson plan, no? Paano kaya ito integrate
Hopefully.
yung philosophy for children. Okay. So I think we should start now with the papatulong na tayo sa ating mga GTAs para i-assign sila sa kanilang mga breakout rooms. Then papasok na lang kami ni Ma'am Regina.
Good evening, everyone. Magandang gabi po. Are you in the breakout room or you just have to be staying in this, ano po? Naka-join na po ba sa breakout room or nagpaiwan na po kayo dito? Anyone? Can you hear me po? Good evening po. Anyone po? Can you hear me po?
Yes po.
Okay. For our breakout session, may I ask anyone who would like to share doon sa question, doon sa anyone po nating question as being discussed by Sir Ma'am Regina Rafael about whether or not you have a similar experiences with your students or your pupils. Before I start, ako po kasi I am not exposed to teaching preschoolers or elementary, but I have those experiences because I have a child or I have my children. When my child reached the age of 6, if I'm not mistaken, or 7, he asked me the question, "Mommy, what is sex?" So parang, alam mo yung idea, natatakot ako. How do you answer those kinds of questions? And I told him, I answered back, why are you asking that question? Saan nang galing? Bakit mo tinatanong anak yung tanong na yun? And then he answered, Mami, kasi tinatanong doon sa profile.
sex. So, yun pala, yun lang. Simple, it's a male or a female. So parang as a nanay, parang kabado ka, especially with the age of our children nowadays, with the exposures of everything, parang nakakatakot sagutin, Mommy, what is sex? Pero yun nga, how do we deal with such kind of experiences and how do we answer those kinds of questions of our children? Okay. So anyone who would like to share? Do you have similar experiences po? Who would like to share the same po? Would you like me to call po? Anyone who have questions po? About Ma'am Sandra Membrere? Are you there po, Ma'am Sandra? Ma'am Sarah? Nasa prayer room po ba tayo? Wala pong gustong magsalita? Is anyone who can hear me po? Any update or realization with the topic discussed? Perhaps if we were able to listen intently with the discussion of Sir Benes and that of Ma'am Regina, we'll be able to pick a bit of something of everything. And I think we can share something out of the discussion. Ma'am Jeanette de Rosario?
Okay po, good evening po everyone. Sa akin po bali ang i-share ko lang, I experienced this when it was my first or second year of my teaching sa private school po siya. So it happened na syempre 'di ba nung time na yung pagbago kang teacher medyo idealistic ka pa, so you're going to ask lagi na is there any other questions that you like to ask? But yung aming subject, it is in grade 2. Ang subject namin is in English. Ang tanong niya is ganito, "Yes, miss, I have a question." "Okay, Christian, yes, what is it?" Sabi niya, "Where does our language came from?" Parang, okay. So, parang sabi ko, so how am I going to answer this question? So, syempre dahil hindi ako prepared for that to answer, lalo na syempre kumbaga dahil bata ka pa, neophyte, medyo, tapos kasi 'di ba syempre hindi ka prepared to answer that dahil nga pinag-aaralan niyo lang yung pang grade 2 ganyan. So sabi ko na lang sa kanya dahil hindi ako prepared, "Okay, Christian, I'm going to get back to you by tomorrow. We're going to discuss that a little." Parang gano'n. So kasi ang ano ko doon, ang take ko doon, though hindi siya related sa aming subject, ang sabi ko, ang ano ko kasi is baka mamaya hindi na siya magtanong sa susunod. Pero kinlarify ko na by the following day na nung nasagot ko na yung tanong niya, na yung mga questions na dapat na, na itatanong din is be sure na related kumbaga doon sa lesson muna. Yun muna yung dapat na kumbaga kung merong ika-clarify. Para kumbaga naman is medyo andun pa rin. Kasi syempre pag lagi mo ring kumbaga tawag nito, lagi mong papansinin, hindi naman sa i-ano mo na siya, parang i-isolate. Kaya lang syempre may mga ibang bata doon, lalo na grade 2, na kung laging papansin, ay grabe, parang ang hirap naman ng tinanong. Kasi yung bata po, medyo ano po siya, mataas yung IQ nung bata, kaya ganun siya magtanong, which is nakakatuwa naman, pero very challenging din. Pero yun nga po ang ano ko doon, yung take ko na kahit na may mga ganong question, pwede rin naman siyang i-answer. But in some point din dapat kumbaga maano rin nung kung ano yung munang limitation para dun sa mga bagay na tinatanong niya. Na kumbaga para lang malaman din nung bata na okay, so kung may question na gano'n pwedeng i-share, pwedeng siya rin yung tanungin din. Okay, so how about you? Do you know any idea kung yung tungkol sa tinatanong mo? Baka kasi minsan yung bata, parang katulad nung sinabi ni ma'am na pwedeng tinetest ka lang. Which is ganun pala yung ginawa nga nung bata sa akin. Tinetest niya lang yung knowledge ko about sa language. So yung kumbaga, though medyo ano na parang okay, itest kita para mapaya parang ganun or what. Pero sa akin, kumbaga, ginawa ko lang na positive yung way of thinking na ginawa nung bata sa akin. So yun po, thank you.
Thank you for that. Totoo, ma'am. You don't want to, in a way, they're testing your credibility, whether you can answer their question. And if there will be time na repeated na nagtatanong tapos hindi mo masagot, mawawalan sila ng tiwala sa'yo or yung credibility mo will be put in question. And you don't want that as a teacher. Kasi sabi nga, I don't know if you can experience, you are experiencing this as a nanay. As I was telling a while ago, I am a nanay, but I am teaching in a college, in collegiate level. So pag uwi ko sa bahay, I am giving the same advice to my children. Kunwari, you eat vegetables. They don't listen to me. Pero pag sinabi ni teacher, Mami, sabi ni teacher, kain daw ako ng vegetable. So mas mataas ang level ng credibility ng teacher kaysa kay nanay, di ba? Pero yun nga, sabi natin, that's how influential we are as a teachers. Therefore, we do something about it. We don't want to be, alam yun, ma-question or ma-put in doubt ng anyone. Others who would like to share pa po, we have 40 seconds. So others who would like to share? O yun nga po, in conclusion na lang po kasi nga magko-close na po in ating breakout session.
Ay, sorry.
We play a crucial role as a teachers in the minds of our students. So we exert the effort to yun nga, to address their concerns every time there are concerns po. Ma'am Mesa Lucha, you're raising your hand.
Just like to share po yung thoughts ko po sa napag-discussan po kanina, though dalawa lang po yata kami nakapag-share. As teachers po, and as we practice a philosopher's mind, we can live by modeling po. We can explicitly give answers in a way that children can process their thoughts properly. We have to nurture children's curiosity by encouraging them to ask questions. We have to create an environment where curiosity flourishes. It is tailored to their age. We stimulate their critical thinking. So, kung ano lang po yung kaya nilang maunawaan at kaya nilang ma-expound sa sarili nilang pangunawa, dun po tayo. Pero hindi po tayo mag-mislead ng mga estudyante or mga bata. Thank you po.
Thank you for that. Thank you for those who shared their thoughts and ideas. I would like to return the floor to Ma'am Rina or to Ma'am Agnes po. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for facilitating. So I think we're now going to the sharing of their discussion in the breakout room. I think there are already some people who have raised their hands. So we can have si Ma'am Haja Rama.
Tapos na po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Tapos na. Okay, then we have this is Charmaine. Charmaine?
Yes, ma'am, permission to speak po. With the discussion tonight, I realized that as teachers or we teachers have been doing as encouragement of philosophy in our classroom, even without us knowing, especially when we do the unlocking of difficulties, we pose questions and then we ask for their perceptions and views, and then we really get raw information and authentic information coming from our students. And that is applicable not only from elementary but across year level until senior high school. And on my end, ma'am, I really encourage asking questions. I always tell my students that asking question is encouraged and it's sign of intelligence. So when you have something in mind, please do not go out of the classroom without raising it, because it's one way of learning. At the same time, you may be having same questions like that of your classmates, which need to be addressed. Okay, so isa pang nakita kong mahalagang puntos ay teachers should not be offended when students ask questions. Instead, we have to be open-minded and we have to make our students comfortable for them to bring out their creativity, for them to be able to release all their ideas and expressions or expression of emotions without any hesitation at all. And with that note, I think students would be learning more and their philosophical views will prosper with that status or with that case. Thank you so much po.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think they have, when I also entered the breakout room, meron ding same yung observation ng ibang teachers din na scholars natin na they are practicing it na yung yung philosophy for children,
Opo.
no? Okay. Then we have si Miss Jean.
Hi, good evening. Ayan, tama na kayo na good morning. Hello po, good evening to all. Before we get into the breakout, natapos tayo sa question nung kanina lang ating speaker na paano nga ba maging approach sa mga learner if there are questions that is it is not answerable directly. So I believe during the discussions na namin may mga sa room 17, breakout room 17 with two of our colleagues there discuss talagang may ganon and they experience and I was not able to share kasi so allow me to share my perspective also on that kind of situations. I believe na learners, tama yung speakers natin, speaker natin kanina, na meron ng mga idea yan. And ang approach ng mga learners is to ask why? What if ganon din tayo sa kanila? Bakit lang naisip yan? We also ask them why. And why, and why. And it will come out, it will turn out na meron din pala silang sagot na sa isip nila. And that, isang skills yun na unconsciously na-develop nila yung critical thinking and also the philosophical idea of explaining things na naiisip nila. Because learning, I believe, it starts from questioning. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, then we have Sir JP.
Good evening everyone. Sa akin po kasi yung sa sharing namin sa room number 3 yata. 3 ba ako? Nakalimutan ko na. Yun po. Sa akin, yun po mostly po yung iba kasi yung pinag-aralan kasi kanina kasi yung about sa preschool po yung may ilang nag-share po na yung experience nila sa senior high. Syempre may intro to philosophy na po sila doon. And then another thing po, syempre, pag minsan may mga pagkakataon na may ina-apply tayo na approaches po sa mga bata po. Minsan hindi natin namamalayan na apply na pala natin yung mga ang philosophy po sa pagtuturo. May mga pagkakataon po na gano'n na hindi natin inaasahan kasi kapag meron kang gagawin na may gagawin ka na ito yung gusto mong mangyari, parang parang pilit lang. Pero pag ito yung actual na ginagawa mo na parang lang, yung go with the flow lang. Hindi mo sa akin lang po may hindi mo inaasahan na may philosophy ka na palang entitled do sa ginagawa niyo. Yun lang po yung sa akin po. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir JP. Doc Rod, can we entertain more? More
Yep, siguro kahit 2, kasi it's already 9 o'clock na eh. So as much as we really wanted to accommodate all, pero they have naman the yung synthesis paper that they could put the question and also some of their inputs,
Sige, thank you, Doc Rod. And then we have Sir Jomar. Sir Jomar.
Hello po, ma'am. Am I audible and clear?
Yes po.
Regarding to the question, instead of immediately providing an answer po, I believe we can teach the children how to answer the question. This is very important po. We can encourage our children to think critically about the question. We can ask them to break it down into smaller parts para mas maliwanag, mas maintindihan. We can consider different perspectives, different possibilities, different possible solutions. What we need to develop and instill in our children is that there are many ways to solve a problem, and we can encourage our children. We can encourage our children a positive attitude towards mistakes and failures.
Thank you so much po, Sir Jomar. And then lastly, we have Miss Mary Banal.
Good evening po.
Good evening, ma'am.
Audible naman po ako, ma'am.
Yes po. Clear
Thank
po.
you very much po. So, from, I think, breakout room number 6 po, we trailed away with the discussion of the difference of curriculum actually ng ESP or values education, edukasyon sa pagpapakatao in private schools and in public schools. So, and then we understood that there's a significant difference, which is why I added that what DepEd prescribes in ESP for public schools lack the things that we find more useful sa private school na curriculum for values education. So we could have gotten more out of that discussion. Unfortunately, our breakout room is caving in. Kaya po, we stopped there, and then we added we added the discussion on the importance of philosophizing with children. Although for my part, I personally find it difficult with high school students. However, I also find it more important for them to learn about these things because, like what I said, within the in the break during the breakout room session, senior high school and junior high school students, they tend to either become consider philosophy at face value only or overthink philosophy and apply the overthought philosophy in their daily lives. That is what creating their problems, and from those problems nag-stem out pa yung parang kumbaga in our point of view as adults ay very euphemized pero malala ng problema or disturbing na pag hindi na-address. Which is why I believe na hindi lang dapat isa yung intro to philosophy subject ng senior high school. I think dapat po yung madagdagan or maybe rehash the ESP subjects for grade 7 to grade 10 po. And, those are the things that we talked about in breakout room number 6 po, ma'am.
I think napakaganda nung sinabi ni Ma'am na there should actually yung subject nila na edukasyon sa pagpapakatao. There should be more philosophy input in that subjects, or there will be more mag-add pa ng philosophy subjects. Okay, so maraming pong salamat sa lahat na nag-share, sa lahat ng I know the time is talaga kulang para ma-express ang lahat at yung time din sa breakout room so maraming salamat sa lahat okay. Doc Rod, the virtual floor is now yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Regina, and also thank you very much, Professor Agnes. Actually, this I'm very happy. It's because we were able to facilitate another session, of this workshop. And this workshop is really an opportunity to share to you nationally, I would say. Kasi you try to imagine it's almost 500 participants. Gusto ko lang ikwento lang to before we end. When I attended, I was then very interested into philosophy for children. It's because that time I have our eldest, and of course I wanted to introduce philosophy to the way on how we parang kung paano kami magpalaki sa aming mga kids. So kaya lang when I attended some of the sessions in philosophy for children, parang sabi ko, masyadong mabigat. Yung mga inattendan kong sessions, mabibigat. Parang ako mismo as a philosophy graduate. I really can't understand it. I really cannot grasp it. And I had that parang I'm thinking na I think if we're going to teach philosophy for children or with children, it will be better that we need teachers who will be explaining it to also teachers. It's not philosophers who will be explaining it to teachers. It's because there is a tendency to just parang miss some points. It's because teachers have really the real life scenario experience in the classroom, whether that is in early childhood, okay, or elementary, or even junior, or even senior high school. Unlike us as philosophers, parang we will be missing points, and yun, and magandang we should be able to came up also with yung critical uh toolkit, maganda yung na-share. Actually, the philosophy for children na borrow namin yan ni Regina ay sa philosophy for children Hawaii. Tama, Regina, So, and that is primarily questioning an assumption, So, yun lang, I think sa susunod, we will be going again to we miss another session kasi I'm supposed to invite Gwyneth as well, on how to do it in the real classroom, So meron siya sa bawat model ng apat, meron siyang ginawa, So kaya lang ay sabi ko hindi kakayanin natin for almost 3 hour session. So si Regina will be coming up with training sessions on this, and hopefully she will be depending her thesis, this coming term. So at ang thesis niya ay mismo yung pinresent sa inyo. So sige, it's already 9 o'clock, marami pa sa inyo hindi na nakakakain pa, So we hope to see you again on Wednesday. On Wednesday, it will be the magisterial lecturer will be Dr. Dennis Apulega, and also I think on week 5, and then on the week 6, it will be again Dr. Santiago. All right? So siguro yung iba sa inyo nakapag-submit na ng nakapag-submit na kayo ng mga synthesis papers or yung philosophy for philosophy of teaching. So pero ngayon you need to submit ngayong linggong ito, you need to submit the synthesis paper, So ganito, pag mag-a-ask kayo sa amin ng extension, you should not be asking extension from your magisterial lecturer. We don't have access of your wala kaming access. Wala si Dr. Apulega, Dr. Santiago, Our task is to give you the lecture, So it's yung ating mga ating mga facilitator. So we have Dr. Sherilyn, and then we also have Professor John, Professor Agnes, and then we also have Dr. Desiree, and then another is Professor Gary Musa, and also Dr. Randy Federi, So sila yung ating mga faculty facilitator. Surprisingly, sabi ko nga kaya kailangan ay makapag-submit na agad kayo. It's because ang ating from PNU lang out of those facilitators ay si Professor Jan Java, So yun yung dahilan kung bakit kailangan kayo talaga, kasi we want na pagkatapos ng ating mga sessions, tapos na agad yung mga na-submit ninyo kasi hindi na natin sila mako-contact, So and we need to give justice to them kasi meron tayong coverage lang ng terms of reference nila. All right? So I think last question siguro, Sir Victor.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
Sir, for our synthesis paper, how many synthesis paper do we have to pass, sir?
Only one, pagsamasamahin nyo na lang so that it will
From
be
the
easy.
first lecture to this
yeah.
lecture?
Yep, yes. May
Okay,
continuity
sir.
na po yun eh.
Sir,
Sige.
where will we pass our synthesis paper, sir?
Para mas madali, it will be better that you should submit it in the LMS, Kasi for example, once na sa LMS nyo na i-submit kasi it will be easier, it's because ang mangyayari diyan, the GCRL lecturer will be also given access once na may mga INC. So makikita namin doon kung sino yung mga on time nag-submit at mga hindi on time. So mas maganda yon kasi once na binigyan kayo for example ng incomplete or let's say ano man lang yan ay you are safe na mapapakita mo doon. Unlike na kung sa mga emails kayo magsesend. May mga nag-send sa akin sa email, Huwag kayo sa akin mag-send, kasi hindi ako magche-check niyan. Ang magche-check niyan ay mga facilitator.
Sir, where are the recordings? Yung first recording po kasi I'm looking for it. Hindi kasi po ako naka-attend nun.
The first recording, I already sent it to our GC. So siguro i-share na ng ating mga GTAs. The second recording, nalimutan ko, pasensya. So isa-send ko sa inyo. And also the recording of this one will be sent as well.
Okay po. Thank you.
Okay, last one. Maglolobat na rin kasi ako. So, sige, Maria.
Good evening po, Prof. Till when po ang submission namin ng synthesis po?
Usually, kasi Saturday is our asynchronous. So, it's Saturday, 12 p.m.
Okay po. Thank you po.
Doc, 12 p.m. po or 12 midnight po?
12 midnight.
Okay po, thank you po.
Okay, yung mga iba pa, please, yung ating mga facilitators nagbabanggit na meron pang hindi mga wala pang laman yung mga model classrooms. So, mas maganda na dun ang submissions lahat so that mas madali yung ating tracing, So,
Sir, permission to speak?
Yes, Charmaine.
Last question, sir. Do we have guide questions to follow when we do our synthesis, or we actually see the template, but do we have guide questions to follow when we do our synthesis? Thank you po.
GTAs already sent to you the template, right? So you need to have, I think, part yun na parang Cornell notes paper. So ang first ay you need to have the keywords and also the discussions, And then ang kasunod natin is your reflections and then your question. Ang payo ko sa inyo, while pwedeng ganito habang nagdi-discuss ang mga magisterial lecturer, hindi ko lang pala ito nabanggit. Maganda nagte-take ng notes na kayo. So pwede na yun sa kanila. Once na nag-take ng notes kayo, picturean nyo, you have the keywords, picturean nyo lang, and then you have the reflections and also question. Okay na yun sa kanila. Nalimutan natin, pasensya na nalimutan namin. But you could have it, pwedeng ganun yung gawin ninyo. Para kahit pangit ang sulat nyo, that is a thought process as well. Kahit pangit ang sulat nyo, that is an active listening as well. So, yes, Victor.
Sir, our LMS have no content at all, sir. So we should be guided with the LMS as you are saying. But as of the moment, we don't have any content with the LMS. And any with regards with the templates, it should be there. So it would be easier for us to pass to come up
Anong
with
section ito, sir?
ETLM section 4 po. Wala pong laman po yung
Okay.
namin po, sir.
Sige pa, na lang, meron naman kayong mga, para hindi nasasabog yung email namin. So,
Yes, sir.
merong group, yan, sino ba to? Ano bang tawag? Anong tawag nyo sa mga nyo?
Spaces, Google Spaces.
Hindi, I mean yung sa mga officers or BDLs, I don't know kung anong tawag nyo sa So, pwedeng gano'n na lang, mag-coordinate na lang sa mga hindi GTA, kasi the GTA or yung mga GTA ba natin may access sa LMS?
Representative po.
O yung mga classroom representative, you could email and see, maisisi niyo ako. And then also si pangalan nito si Sai, and also the respective GTAs. Tapos nakasisi ako so that we will be able to remind the facilitator. ganito baka yung mga facilitator naninibago pa lang din sa LMS kaya gano'n. Pero ang maganda naman uma-attend kayo every Wednesday. So kaya
Yes.
maga-guide kayo. Yun ang kagandahan naman.
Yes,
Alright?
sir. Sir, nag-a-attend kami pero we we are looking forward to working already, but hence in the LMS it should be a guidepost for us to follow instructions or maybe deadlines. But as of the moment, yun po ang problema namin, sir, talaga.
Mm.
Could
So
could our request be
Victor, identify niyo na ba kung sino yung facilitator?
facilitator?
Faculty facilitator niyo?
Wala.
Permission,
Yes.
permission to speak po, Prof.
Yes,
Classmate
yes.
Yung po ang
classmate po kami ni Sir Victor.
Mali pa akong banig. Mali
It
pa
so
akong
happen po yung LMS, the announcement has a repetitive posting po. Kaya madami. But when you scroll down at the end part, doon po makikita yung lesson namin. The problem of the LMS was there was always a repetitive posting, the announcements. And then when you go inside in every lesson, there is again a repetitive posting about the questions and the activity and everything po. Kaya
Okay.
siguro hindi niya nakikita kasi ang dami pa pong scroll down na may announcement, ganyan po. But at the end, we can see naman po the lesson box there in every lesson.
Sige, sige. So, kasi siguro it will be better na I'm going to talk to Liz Coop and maybe coordinate dun sa mga nabigyan na rin ng access ang aming mga magisterial lecturer dun sa mga specific facilitator. I don't want na magkaroon ako ng lahat yung may access na yun so yung dalawa lang sa akin, dalawa kay Dr. Apolega and also dalawa kay Dr. Santiago. So I'm going to communicate it tomorrow. So sige, I think these are same concerns, submissions and etc. So problems pa. So nagagawa natin ng paraan So at least nakikita naman natin based on your yung mga niyo yung template please pa-check sa ating mga GTAs na sa ating GC. So you could send it to them.
Okay, sir.
So,
Thank you very much, sir, for
permission
our.
to
Thank you very much, sir, for heeding us for our request, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Sige, last one ha kasi
Prof,
maglolobat na
Doc, sorry.
Yes.
Doc, baka naman po with your help, malifted po yung late po namin na submission nitong version po. Sana po.
I am not to decide on that. So, kasi we have an agreement. So, bahala na ang ating mga facilitator.
Sige po. Sana, Doc, yun nga, sana po makita rin po nila na nagkaroon din po kami ng mga problem po dyan sa LMS na yun nga po, na waiting pa rin kami until now sa LMS.
Ganito yung kakulangan ng I cannot speak for our faculty facilitators kasi una they are 6 hindi natin alam kung sino yung specific pero kung alam naman ng may katawan yan kung sino yung may pagkukulang and most likely siya yung magbibigay ng consideration. Pero sabi ko nga with regards to the submission hindi kami ang dapat magde-decide. Hindi magisterial lecturer it should be the faculty facilitators. All right? So kaya ang pag-email kung tutuusin yung ina-extend namin ngayon ng pag-communicate sa inyo it's because we just wanted to run it smooth kaya ang inano natin ay hinayaan ko na si Sai our technical staff in the GTEF para mas mabilis pag may problema tingnan niyo nagpapaano agad tayo sa LMS automatic na nililink ko agad kayo sa list group so and I called their attention so basta nakasisi ako so ang dahilan nito it's because this is our second trial of Ed 701 in a really big class you are the second batch and nakita namin yung problema so at ang problema ay yung una late submissions napakatagal 1 taon na nag-submit so sa amin hindi na namin pinayagan yun ni Dr. Apolega so sa amin basta ang namin it's up to the na rin ayaw ko rin kasi na may mga nagko-complete pa sa ngayon So mas maganda matapos na agad para mas nagkakalinawan tayo. Alright? So sige, kung wala na kayong okay na it's already 6% na lang ako, pasensya na. So if you have your
No,
individual yes, last one.
permission to talk.
Yes, last one.
Yung kay Sir sa Masis LQ4 po, mag-ask na po sana ako kung may group chat na po. Kasi po nag-worry po kasi ako kay EW kasi ako last time. So nag-worry ako baka maulit yung mga nangyari last time. Regarding sa mga submission. Hindi po kasi ako update po sa LMS kasi hindi na po siya katulad dati na may mga submission, parang mga reflection na po kasi nakalagay kaya I need po an update from our GTE po or facilitator po.
Okay,
Kung may
nakikinig naman sila. Nakikinig yung ating mga GTA and facilitators. So sige, thank you. So sige, thank you very much. It's already 9 o'clock, I think yung iba hindi pa nakakakain, and we need to rest, See you on Wednesday, for the next magisterial lecture to be given by Dr. Apulega. So sige, maraming salamat. Ingat kayo palagi, ingat.
Thank you
Thank you, Bro.
Thank you po, Prof. Good night, everyone.
Salamat.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you
Good
po.
night po. God bless.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you po. Good night.
Permission to leave na din po.
Thank you po.
Permission
Salamat.
to leave po. Thank you so much,
Permission to
everyone.
leave.
Thank you, Dr. Benes.
Permission to leave po.
Permission to leave po. Thank you very much.